And we are live. Hello, I am Mike TheZorch, and this is my half-awake co-host, Tygra Kahn.
Wake is right.
Oh, this has been this whole E3 coverage thing has been rough. I think if we do this again, we're gonna do it a little differently next time.
Well, part of my thing is it's been. I'm getting echo from your side, Mike.
Oh, we still got the phone on.
Ow.
Okay.
Okay. I was forgetting something. What's kept me sort of busy and kind of messed up that we're still building that studio. There's so much to do there.
Yeah.
So that dividing my time up. That's what added this up.
Yeah.
Working on that studio.
Because you were working on that, you were up. Well, you were up all night last night.
I didn't sleep. I was just too much energy. I couldn't sleep, and I made a lot of progress on it.
Well, two things: you were working on the studio, on the new PC for the studio.
Yeah.
And then you also had to be up at 9 in the morning.
Yeah, because they had to do an RMA apart, and RMA one of the video cards.
Because the graphics card, one of the graphics cards wouldn't work right.
Yeah.
Every time we tried to launch a DirectX, it would work on the desktop, which uses the frame buffer. Mm-hmm. But every time it touched the GPU, every time it tried to run a DirectX app, it wouldn't blue screen the machine. It would cause it to reboot.
Yeah, it would just hard crash it pretty good. So.
And when we had that card in there, we also had the motherboard would stop at code 94.
All kinds of bizarre issues with that. Yeah. And then we took that card out and boom, it worked fine.
Mm-hmm.
So
because code 9, well, we had that issue of the default display would change every time.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like the monitors would go back and forth between the two monitors, and the card would disappear. It would only show one card in the system.
Yeah, and code 94 on those Asus boards means that it's initializing the PCI Express bus.
Yeah, and that card was messing it up.
Yeah, that card was messing it up, and so that's been sent and on its way.
Yeah, so that
$1,000
being up and down all day trying to watch all the videos and everything. It's been pretty taxing.
Yeah, well, we did get some time to nap in between a couple of them.
Enough that I don't fall asleep mid-sentence, but
I know.
I still reserve the right to pass out at any given moment.
It was a busy day today, and
do what I can.
It was a busy day today, and I want to strangle someone at Sony for making us waste our time staying awake during whatever the hell that was.
WTF.
And
Sony.
we will get to that part here in a little bit in the stream, because I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people talking about whatever the hell that was.
They're gonna. That's
yeah.
WTF. I don't understand what that was. Even the people who were like the IGN folks when it was over, even they were like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
So
it's like, that wasn't a press conference.
We'll get to it. It was screwed up. Pretty good.
It was weird. It was very weird. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking or smoking, or maybe they weren't doing enough thinking and were doing too much smoking. I don't know. But it was bizarre, weird. Nobody came out on stage. Nobody talked.
Somebody gave somebody the order, make an E3 presentation that they'll be talking about for a long time, that they'll never forget.
Yeah.
Well, they followed the directions at least.
Well,
they made an impression.
One person came out and talked. The head of Sony Worldwide Studios, and that's it. And then the rest of the time was nothing but trailers and weird stuff.
It was almost like it was almost like a. Well, we'll get to it because there's a lot to say about this.
Okay.
What was first? I don't remember. Start me at the top because I gotta jog my memory as far as from the top where we were and what started.
Okay, we started the day out with Square Enix, which was not a event on stage event. It was just pre-recorded media event.
Yeah, there wasn't really anything. I don't think hardly new there, was there? Was there anything that we hadn't already seen?
Not a surprise because Bethesda did this once before, last E3, because they didn't really have anything big to announce, so they weren't on stage.
Yeah, and that's the experience. I mean, they showed a little Final Fantasy. They showed some more. They replayed the trailer for Kingdom Hearts. What else did they do? It was pretty straightforward.
Okay, well, they started out with the address from the president of Square Enix. They immediately went to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and Katie, I can't hold you right now. Be good.
Yeah, that it was a trailer we'd already seen, so there wasn't anything new there.
Yeah, we know that the game is going to be set in South America.
Actually, wasn't there a little bit more on that one?
There was a little bit more on that one.
I'm trying to remember now. I think they showed a little bit more than what we had seen before.
Yeah. Laura is apparently trying to stop Trinity from finding some kind of Mayan artifact.
Wasn't this the one where they had the plane sequence?
Yes, that was where she was on the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I were Cinema Sins, it's like, yeah, one sin for she survived this. Ding!
No, that would be Game Sims.
Yeah.
That would be Game Sims. But it looked good. It looked like the new. It looked good. It looked like what we should expect from the new reboot continuity of Lara Croft.
Yeah.
It continues her adventures of how she becomes the legend she becomes later.
This is where she was in the forest, I think, as well, right? There was a lot more.
She's in the rainforests of South America this time.
They think they were talking about some system of being part of the woods or something.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So that
the hub she has is like a huge hidden city. There's also a lot more underwater exploration, and I'm not sure how people will feel about that. Most people don't like underwater levels.
Underwater is always weird whenever games do underwater, so it's a hit or miss thing.
Yeah.
They either do it right or they flop at it. You either swim or you sink. You don't really do half and half.
Hopefully it does good. I hold you for a little bit, kitty. Good. She wants to be held. She's probably cold.
That's the baby kitty.
Yes,
he's the baby.
The baby kitty. And like being cold. Her little paws are cold. Okay. Then they did a trailer on the new update for Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that. I think the reason they kind of brought it out is because they're doing. It looks like they replayed the 4.3 trailer, which I think 4.3 is already out.
Yeah, under the moonlight.
Yeah, under the moonlight. That's
4.3.
And then I think the point to that though was to kind of get it going so that they could show the crossover thing with another game.
Yeah, they're doing a Monster Hunter crossover like they did with Yokai Watch and also Final Fantasy 13 a year or two before that.
So I think it was just kind of the Final Fantasy side of getting geared up for that crossover scene.
Yep.
It was the main reason they played it, and so it wasn't a big deal. It was just like, oh yeah, we're doing this.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it later. We're doing this sort of thing. It's how they kind of went with it.
Yep.
Like, yeah, this is happening. Okay, that's kind of how it went.
Yep. And that's coming to summer.
Summer, yeah.
Probably along with the what is that one not Moonfire? The one they do every summer where you have sometimes they have that event where you have to wear bikinis and you have to stop a bomb. I know they haven't done that in a while.
They haven't done that in a while. I can't think of the name of it. I can't think of the name of it right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Moonfire is the fall one, isn't it?
That might be the fall one.
It's one of those.
I keep forgetting.
It's the summer event. It's their big summer event. Yeah. It's their big summer event.
She's the baby. She's the baby of the house. She's so itty bitty when we got her. Okay, then we got to see a little more of Captain Spirit. Not a whole lot.
I don't think there was much that. I think it was most of the same. I think there was a little bit new stuff, but I don't think it was much that different. I think from what we had.
Just a little bit.
It was a little different.
It's
not
coming.
much.
It's coming the end of June. It's going to be a free game, and it's set in the Life is Strange universe. It's set in the same universe as the Life is Strange game, and it's sort of a precursor to the next game in the Life is Strange story arc, or it's just a precursor to the next game, basically.
Yeah.
Right, then Dragon Quest XI. Still looks the main character looks like Android 17 from Dragon Ball Z. That's all I'm gonna say. He looks like Android 17. That's coming on September 4th. That is the Enix side of Square Enix. That is their Final Fantasy on their side. Which Dragon Quest has been a big thing. Actually, it's not as big here. It has gained a following, but over there in Japan, Dragon Quest is big. It's like there are when a new Dragon Quest game comes out, and lots of people call off work, and they even have celebrations on days when the game comes out. It's like huge.
Well, I guess they're scheduling a new one.
Yeah.
There goes the economic prosperity of Japan for a day.
Yep. Also, we got Babylon's Fall from Platinum Games.
Yeah, which one was this? I'm trying to remember now. I remember the name.
It came right after Dragon Quest. There wasn't that much shown of it. And it looks like, the way it looks, I'd say they might be trying for a Dark Souls clone or Bloodborne clone.
Possibly.
They might be trying to go for that kind of gameplay from Platinum Games, which they could probably do. I mean, they did Nier Automata. They also did Bayonetta. So, yeah, they could possibly pull off a game like that. Really tight controls and extremely excruciatingly hard gameplay. They could probably pull that off.
Yeah. So, to see what it winds up being.
And speaking,
that was far enough. That was far enough back. I actually don't remember that as much when I can't quite put it in my mind. So let's just go roll with it. Yeah.
Yep. And speaking of Nier Automata, they announced a PS4 enhanced version with all the DLC. So PS4 players will get to see some sweet Android butt. It was not a very big show for Square Enix.
I might not want to talk
this year. Not very big. They showed a little bit of Octopath Traveler, a little bit of their new RPG, completely new IP. That's coming out on July 4th. So that's coming out soon. They showed a little more of Just Cause 4. It's set in a fictional South American country called Salice. They have extreme weather, new vehicles, improved driving handling, improved grapple. The grapple's fun to play around with. You can put booster rockets on the grapple to lift things and fly them around.
Oh yeah.
Improved enemy AI. I hope so, because they were a little stupid in Just Cause 3. They were a little dumb. And it's a new engine, and it's coming out December 4th this year. So we're getting a new Just Cause game this year, and don't go over my ankles and claw me. She's done. Okay, and another new interesting IP, The Quiet Man.
Well, when they, you know, the problem was when they said The Quiet Man, I was thinking, well, let's see, there's Zelda. Who else? There's Cloud. I was just thinking of all the games where the hero is silent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this describes like half the games in the the past 20 years of gaming.
More a game with a game with a deaf protagonist. In a way.
Yeah, because you get the idea, like when he was walking in the alley and those guys are trying to talk, he's like,
and then he proceeds to take them apart.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what his beef there was with them, but he took them out.
Yeah. So that's coming actually in August. Then they touched a little on they showed a trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3. I think it was the same trailer that we saw yesterday.
I think so. I think it was who was the one that had the different trailer? Because one of them had a different trailer than all the others.
It was they had a different trailer during the Sony event.
Okay, that was the one that had. I knew someone had a slightly different trailer than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was the Sony one.
And they closed out with Kingdom Hearts 3. We did it basically the same trailer as last time, with Frozen. We saw a little more of it in the Sony event where they had Pirates of the Caribbean, Hercules, Rapunzel. They showed a little more Frozen. They're supposed to have a lot more. Also, they had Monsters Inc.
I don't know what's with the music in that game, but the song that they kept playing, the beat was off. What was with that song? I just every time I hear it, I'm like,
it's from the same. It's from the same artist that did the music from the past.
I know, but it was just. It felt like it was off. I don't know if it was the design. It just felt. It felt harsh.
We'd have to find the song and play it. We'll probably find it soon somewhere. Once the game comes out, someone's gonna post a song somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know if that was an original track or somewhere else, but just that song the vocal was fine, but the rhythm was just late.
Square Enix's event, if you want to call it that, was really short.
Yeah, it came and went pretty quickly.
Yeah, came and went really fast.
There was no stage presence. It was just video.
Nothing about Final Fantasy VII, the remake. Nothing about it at all. And it was all mostly stuff we've seen before.
Yeah.
So, not a lot. Moving on to Ubisoft. They had a better event.
Theirs was pretty
interesting.
Yeah, they probably had the more not counting Sony's WTF. I think they had the more unique of the group in terms of the way that they would play stuff up on. They used the stage more than anybody else.
Yeah.
They, as a stage of as a staged event, they were more present than anybody else.
Yes, they had more stage presence than anyone else in all the E3 press conference. Well, we still have Nintendo to do tomorrow.
Yeah, but we don't know what they're going to do, but they were there to work with the crowd a lot more. They intended to make it an event in the auditorium for that crowd to give them something there.
Now, usually they save Just Dance for like the middle of the event. They opened with Just Dance.
They opened it with it. Yeah, they opened with it. They that's what I'm saying is they had a video where you had a bunch of dancers and stuff, and then at a certain point they had those dancers jump out and come through the audience and on stage and continue finish the dance routine there.
Yep.
As an example of one of the things they did.
Yeah.
Then another one you had.
And there were some lookers in that. There were a couple of lookers in that. There
was a few.
There were a few.
Yeah. Well, the one that had the definite lookers was that one they brought that band back. They brought that band out.
Yeah. And the guy in the in the panda major domo costume, in the panda major domo costume.
Yes. They definitely have more stuff going on there.
Yep. And then a new trailer for a game that we've been waiting for a long time, Beyond Good and Evil 2, which wasn't a big hit. The original game wasn't a big hit when it came out, but it became a cult hit later. And now we're finally getting a sequel.
Was this the one that had the ice ring opening?
Yes.
Put my mind in there. Okay.
Yes, this had the ice ring opening. Definitely very good looks. Of course, it was a cinematic trailer, but if it's reflecting of the gameplay of what we might get in the game, it's going to be a space opera RPG. Of course, it's a prequel to the first game.
Ubisoft had the most space-based content of all of them so far.
Yeah.
They definitely had. It was a bigger deal for them than anybody else.
Yeah. It was a pre-out. What we were seeing was a pre-alpha.
Yeah, it's definitely something that they're still working on.
They say it's an open universe with seamless planet-to-space flight.
They didn't show it though.
They didn't show it though, but they did say that there was seamless.
There was some gameplay, I think, in one of the IGN videos later.
Yeah.
When they showed a little bit of it. It was seamless, sort of, kind of. It wasn't as smooth as, say, even No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
For what they did show it was, dive down quickly and just transition relatively quickly.
Yeah.
So that wasn't in that trailer, but I think it was in some footage that IGN was doing.
Yeah. There were few games that I've seen that actually do that kind of transition well. Like, what's that one game where you were like you were a Dr. Manhattan style superhero, and it's in VR on the PlayStation. I've got it on Steam. Name eludes me.
I know what you're talking about.
That does smooth transitions between space and ground.
Yeah, all the way down to the surface level. It does a good transition. But I can't think of the name of it.
It's almost there. It's almost there, but it's not quite.
Cobra talked about it.
Yes.
He did an interview with the developer, and
damn, I can't think of it.
I can't. I know what you're talking about, but the name just is not present.
Yeah.
It's basically where, isn't it the one where the cities are destructible, or they could you could knock the buildings over?
Yeah.
And it's like you're in first person mode, and it's the VR game, or it can be played in VR. It was made by a small team. I cannot think of the name of it.
I can't remember it. And Daniel from Gamers Bay has joined us in chat. He says hello.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, first one to join us. We've already gotten through the Square Enix part, and it was Square Enix's show is pretty short.
Yeah, it went quick.
They didn't show much anything of really new, except for one or two new.
It didn't really. There was no
IPs.
super standouts.
No super standouts
that we hadn't already seen. Seen. So.
We got to Good and Evil, Beyond Good and Evil 2, and it looked good, and Just Dance. Interesting thing with this, they're collaborating with Hit Record, which is a music collaboration thing.
Was that these guys who had that had some kind of
they're a music and art collaboration thing to get music and artwork for the game from the community.
They didn't get into details on how that worked.
Yeah.
But it was a way to. It was some kind of unique way to work with the fans. I think Ubisoft had the most of these, where there was a lot of interaction with the players to help build development to allow the players to provide content that goes into the game and develop the game.
They're getting the community involved in the development of the game, basically, which I think it's a good idea.
There's a couple of others that did that too.
Because the community's been wanting this game for a long time. They've been wanting a sequel to Beyond Good and Evil for a long time. So they're going to get more information at BGE Fest, which is a festival for the game in the fall. Moving on, they did a little bit of information about Rainbow Six Siege. They have 35 million players in concurrent players in Rainbow Six Siege. They are June 18th. They're going to have the Pro League competition. And they've also announced another Mindset, a documentary about some of the key players.
Yeah.
And Daniel says he still has the original Beyond Good and Evil for the Xbox. I had a demo for, I think it was PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. Forget which one. I think the game might also be on Steam. I think a PC version was eventually released. I haven't grabbed it. I was interested in grabbing it because I've always wanted to play it. I've never played the game, the original Beyond Good and Evil. If it's there and I can catch it on a sale, I'll probably pick it up.
Yeah.
Okay, then Trials Rising. Another game in the one thing about the Ubisoft event is most of these were all sequels to existing
that
games.
was the thing I noticed. I did a count. I'm glad I did it then because now it's but the one thing I noticed about Ubisoft, if you look at all the games they did, you could tell that Ubisoft was playing it safe.
Yep.
They almost all of them were a sequel or related to an existing or at least a component of another game that, you know, like what was the one with the boat, the one that was on the water?
Skull and Bones.
Yeah, that one wasn't
that's a new sort of new IP.
However, it basically used all the ocean component that came out of, what was it? You said Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Creed Black Flag. People
so
really liked the sailing.
They went with they sort of took that out and made its own game.
Yeah.
And then the other one, there was another one they had that was unique, but it was still being safe. So
that was Transference.
Yeah, Transference was the only one that was really standalone.
And then Starlink.
Yeah,
and Starlink was the Toys to Life game.
Yeah. So for the most part, except for those couple, almost everything they had was a sequel to something else, or it was inside another well-established, working, tried and true IP or genre or something. There wasn't anything really stand out, I think, except for Transparent, and that was kind of like a VR sci-fi horror kind of theme to it.
Yeah.
Everything else was pretty much safe.
Yeah. So Trials Rising, another game in the Trials. I've never played this. I played the I played the Trackmania game. This was on the motorcycles. This was on the motorcycles. Yeah.
And as far as like the crowd thing, this is where they got kind of
weird. I heard you cracking up in your room when you were watching it. It's like you were watching.
Oh, what got me was
the crashes and everything.
It was the it was the classic music kind of Beethoven montage, you know, that just constantly killing everybody on it. It was just that kind of slapstick humor.
Yes.
Sort of triggers me. So it was at near the end of that when they had that sort of slapstick montage with that classical music, where you know, it's just fail after fail. That just sets me off.
Yeah.
So
it looks like it's a multiplayer this time around, or will have multiplayer to it. There were multiple drivers. The guy behind University of Trials is designing the tutorial. There's going to be a closed beta for the game later this year. It'll be out February 2019 for the PC, PS4, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch, because everybody's putting stuff out for the Switch now.
Switch is starting to get, the one thing I noticed is Switch is starting to get a lot of content.
Yeah,
and
and
interesting.
They ended with that epic jump and crash montage that you completely
and
lost.
It opened really kind of like WTF, because this guy comes in and he falls on the podium.
Yes.
And it's like, if you're gonna crash in style with this kind of joke. It's like, okay, that was strange.
For a moment, I thought that they were gonna do some kind of Far Cry 5 thing, because I thought he was Chuck Nixon, or what's that guy? Yeah, Chuck Nixon, the stunt driver thing, whose races you reenact in Far Cry 5. I thought that was him, but he turned around and it said Trials on the back of his suit.
You know what would have been more impressive, though? I'll tell you what would have been more impressive, and they would not have done this because it would have been a safety issue, but what would have been impressive is if they'd had a ramp by that stage and they had a professional come in and then flip the bike and land on the stage.
Oh, yeah, they would have had to have a bigger venue for that.
Yeah, but that would have been impressive, though, if they could have pulled that
That
off.
would have been impressive.
And the guy's like, you know, yeah, it would have been good. But, yeah.
And we got to see a lot more of the Division 2. I'm interested in this one.
Oh, yeah, this is the one where they got the long trailer, the long detailed look at it.
Yes, the long detailed look at this one. We finally got a bigger look. It's set
This was a good look at it.
It's set in Washington, D.C. It looks like it may be several years after the whole Black Friday event in New York.
The guy, as he came out, I liked the way that he was focused, the way he was describing his game. That was good. I liked the way that he was, you know, spot on describing it slowly, carefully, as if you're hearing kind of an actual event type of thing. You know, I like the way that he portrayed that. That was good. Yeah. He delivered that.
Yes. They had better presenters than
there was
EA
a couple
did.
of like awkward, strange things, but it was definitely, for the most part, really, really good. As far as it was strange, but it was well put together. I mean, even I think they had one point they had a technical glitch. Yeah. That somebody was surprised that something happened. They're like, no, this way, that way. You could hear somebody got caught on mic at one point, and they're like, wasn't the way we intended to do this. And they're like, it was just like, just go. Just do it.
The show must go on.
The show must go on. They had a show must go on moment. They just improvised as best they could.
So the whole premise of the original Division is that someone spread a smallpox virus on someone put smallpox virus on money, and they released it in the city of New York, and the disease spread quickly. It was during Christmas shopping season, so it spread quickly, and then it went across the country and just killed tens of thousands. And this is the aftermath. The virus has burned itself out. It's finally burned itself out, and remnants of the Division, which is this secret organization established by the government to basically rebuild in case of such events like this. And so they're trying to rebuild Washington, D.C.
Yeah, they're trying to get D.C. cleaned up.
Yeah, trying to get D.C. cleaned up.
The idea is if you succeed, you can sort of start rebuilding society, whereas if you fail, anarchy is going to take over.
Yeah, the anarchy will take over, or some dictator will take over.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot of factions in the game, some hostile, some friendly. It says your actions would have an impact on the world itself. And there will be actual end-game content this time, and there'll be an end-game progression. They'll have an 8-player raids. Everybody was very happy about that because they didn't have raids in the first division. They're going to have 3 DLCs with new stories, activities, and locations, and those will be free. And then they showed another new trailer showing more gameplay, and there's a release date of March 15th. So it's looking pretty interesting. It's looking pretty interesting. The original game was a slight disappointment when it first came out because there were some issues with it, but then Ubisoft fixed a lot of the problems, and it started getting to be a lot better. Started becoming a better game.
So they've probably learned a lot. They probably all that up.
They probably learned a lot from doing that because it's their first time doing a game like this.
Yeah. So this will probably be much more polished and more finished.
Yep.
A lot better.
Yep. Then you were a little surprised by this one. They had Donkey Kong.
Yeah, I was caught off guard by that. I was like, it was like Donkey Kong. Oh, and this is the one that had the live band. You talked about the, you said that all the cute looking ones. Oh, there's the band here that had all the cute looking ones.
Oh, that, and also in that dance sequence at the beginning with Just Dance. But they had a live band come out and do the music for the trailer.
The cuter ones were in the band.
But they had the band come out for the trailer to play the music for the trailer for the game, which is essentially a DLC for Mario Rabbids.
Yeah, what was throwing me off was that messed up looking Princess Peach they had jumping around in the vid. Like,
oh yeah, the rabbit, that rabbit with Princess Peach's dress.
Yeah, that was like, okay, what did they do?
Yes.
But it was pretty good. I think what caught me off guard was that it was Donkey Kong at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at this going, how did they get a hold of Donkey Kong?
They collaborated with Nintendo a few times before, and then they did a Mario versus Rabbids game. And they brought out Shigeru Miyamoto for that one.
Oh yeah, hey,
they had him in the audience this time.
In the audience, and they gave him some kind of they gave him a they brought him out with the other one, the Star Fox.
Yes, they brought him out for the other one. We'll get to that one. We'll get to that one.
They got to him later. Yeah.
So the Donkey Kong Adventure DLC for Mario vs. Rabbids will be coming in June 26th. So that's that will be on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, but and as far as what they showed, it looked like your classic Donkey Kong. Even in the music, they had that original Donkey Kong Country theme music that they played at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So they had
Ubisoft and Nintendo have always had a very good relationship. They've always had a very good relationship.
So yeah, it looked interesting. New Donkey Kong game.
Yeah. Now, Skull and Bones looked interesting.
Yeah, that one where they really went all out, pirate, and it's like, okay, if you didn't like Sea of Thieves, here you go, do this one.
Yeah. Yeah, because what they did was, with this game, this was inspired directly by the ship combat parts of Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah,
people really liked it, and it was very detailed. What they do is they took that gameplay and they made it even more detailed. They made it its own thing.
It's all about pirates and boats.
Yep. So there's some strategy to it where you can't take on big ships all by yourself. You have to work together, and your teammates can turn on you.
Yeah, it was like they had the whole thing where they were trying to sneak past this port, and then they flew another flag, and they were going to take down one ship, but then they found out they had this big giant battleship coming their way, and so they called on their friends, and sure, they took them down with some losses, and then at the end, it's like their friends are like, "Oh, we want that gold.
Yep.
Give us the goods," and they turned on them.
And there was some gameplay where they disguised themselves as a merchant ship to get past the fort.
Mm-hmm.
And everything. So that looks promising. That one
good.
looks promising. Okay, then what surprised us was Elijah Wood came out on stage.
Oh yeah, that Elijah Wood's there. Was that this game or is that another one?
That was Transcendence.
Yeah.
They brought him out for Transcendence, which is a first person or a first person and VR. It's either or. You can be.
Yeah, I had to actually wind it back and say, did they say Elijah Wood? And look.
Yeah, it's Elijah Wood.
Yeah,
who
that's what I had to do. I kind of had to wind the screen back because I'm like, is that
who played Frodo Baggins in Lord of the Rings. He still looked young.
Yeah.
They played Frodo Baggins in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings.
That one surprised me. He was there.
He was involved in this, and
he was involved in development. I think is what he said.
Yeah,
he was part of it.
Yeah, and the premise is sort of like Inception. You go into dreams and a person's consciousness.
Yeah.
And
what surprised me was I didn't know he was in gaming. I thought he was like doing stage work. I didn't know he was in gaming. That's why I was so surprised. Is I didn't realize he had been in gaming stuff. I thought he was just in like on Broadway.
He probably had a hand in actually writing the concept for the game. He probably had a hand in that.
And as the story goes, I tell you what got me about the story that they were talking about is I was like, this feels like Where from the No Man's Sky ARG.
Yeah.
I was like, this so feels like if you were gonna do that whole ARG as a game, this would be kind of the direction it would go.
Yeah. And it had all these mind-bending visuals of the scene changing itself around.
It was flickering, and that's why I was saying it, because it had all this glitchiness to it. Mm-hmm. And, it's like you're trapped in this virtual nightmare. And I'm looking at this going, this would be creepy in VR.
Not so much a psychological horror, but more a psychological thriller.
Mm-hmm.
And also probably some mystery and puzzle solving in this. So it looks interesting. It's a new IP.
Unique thing. Yeah, it was their most unique thing they had.
New IP they had.
It was a standout.
Another new IP they've got is a new Toys to Life game called Starlink.
Yeah, when I first started seeing this, I thought I was like, when I first started seeing it, I was like, this, what they try to do, rip off No Man's Sky? Because it kind of at first kind of made me feel it was some kind of.
Well, they kept dropping the name Atlas, the Atlas Star System.
Yeah, and that's what I was like. At first, I was like, I know No Man's Sky. I know this isn't No Man's Sky, but this feels like they're trying to kind of rip on them a little bit, because there's like the Atlas in No Man's Sky and the ARG's Atlas Foundation, and like this feels a little too close to me.
Yeah, this is the game where
I did see gameplay later, and it's way different game. Once I saw some gameplay footage, that cleared that up real quick. What was getting me was, as they were going through the trailer, and I'm still kind of confused about that, then I hear this, and I'm like, it sounds like Star Fox. It's like, do a barrel roll. And I was like, oh, okay, this is some Star Fox. And then they bring out the Switch version is going to have Fox McCloud.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, screw all the other versions. I want the Switch version for Star Fox. This is my Star Fox game. This is what I want for Star Fox. So it's like, forget all the other platforms. Give me the Switch version.
Yeah. So this is where they have this device that hooks to the controller, and you build this ship from ship components, and you attach it to that device, and then the ship you built appears in the game, and you use that game to fly around in the game.
They did say later in an interview that you don't have to have it, but he's like, you really kind of want to. That's the intended gameplay. You really want the ships for this, but you can do it without them.
Yeah.
But you really want to have it. So buy our stuff.
And then they pulled a coup again by having Shigeru Miyamoto in the audience.
This is when they brought Shigeru Miyamoto out, because the guys who made the game are massive Star Fox nerds.
Yes.
They love Star Fox, and so they actually gave him a model of the original.
It's a
Star
prototype.
Fox.
It's a prototype of the R-wing toy that will be available for the game.
And they presented it to him and brought him backstage because they wanted to,
Yep.
geek out with him. So, but he was actually there in there. It's like, oh, they got Shigeru Miyamoto to show up. Wow. Okay, that was cool. They really have a close relationship, a good one, with Nintendo to do this.
Yeah.
To bring him out. That that they're best buddies with Nintendo to get that far.
Yeah. Yeah. Then next after that was For Honor, which this was a game where this is where Ubisoft had to do a little bit of damage control, I think, because the game had issues and it lost some of its players. I think they fixed some of the problems since then, and they needed. This was For Honor. This was a combat. This was a combat between knights. Yeah, it was knights, Vikings, and Vikings and samurai.
Okay, it was that one.
Yeah, and so they're going to have a starter edition. And they're going to have.
They're giving it away for free, aren't they?
They're giving it away for free from July 11th to the 18th.
Yeah.
The starter edition. They'll have a new DLC, Marching Fire, where they will introduce classic warriors from China, Chinese history, from the Four Kingdoms.
See, I didn't know the backstory of this. You're saying there was some sort of issue with. What happened that created the issue? I mean, what was the event that...
Balance issues, server problems, things like that.
In other words, just the original game was messed up, and
the original game was...
it wasn't any kind of like loot box drama or anything.
No, nothing like that.
It was just, y'all messed this game up, please fix it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
nothing too severe. 4
new fighters based on historical figures from Chinese history. And a 4v4 castle siege.
I wonder how that's going to work to make that interesting, because the castles look far bigger than what 4 people can manage.
That's not 4 people, 4 factions.
Oh, 4 factions. Okay.
Yeah.
As I was going to say, that those were really big looking, and I was like, that's kind of large for 4 people. So if it's 4 group or 4 factions, out on the outside and 4 on the inside, then okay, you've got more people there.
Yeah. Their siege mode is called Breach. That looked interesting because you have all the amenities of a siege.
I like those sort of. And it's real a siege. I mean, you're storming the place.
Yeah, you're storming the place, and they're pouring down boiling pitch on you, and you got siege engines and battering rams and everything. And that's coming in October 16th.
Yeah, that looks like something I would like to try.
Okay. Yeah, Elijah. Daniel's saying that Elijah Wood did voice acting for Spyro the Dragon. I think he was the voice of Spyro, if I recall. That was when he was.
See, that's why I was surprised, because I thought he was I thought he was in movies and stuff. I thought he was on Broadway, but movies like but I didn't realize he was in the gaming side. But if he's doing, I wonder if he did voice acting, because it sounded like he was doing more than wasn't voice acting, like he was part of the story creative process.
Yeah. Trade Wars and For Honor, no, this is just purely combat. For Honor is purely combat. There's no trading or crafting in it that I am aware of. It's a purely combat oriented game. Very strategic combat too. It's not a button masher. Okay, so they moved on to they didn't have much more after that. They moved on to the Crew 2, which is their big. This is their answer to Forza Horizon 4.
This is the racing one?
This is the big open world, persistent world racing game. Was this the one that like you could race
boats and planes and aircraft
Yep.
and all that?
Yep.
Okay.
And it'll be set in the United States like the last one.
It's like kind of race what you want.
Race
Sea,
what
air,
race what you want.
water.
Yep. Okay, and then they ended with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I didn't see the usual amenities of an Assassin's Creed game because they didn't talk anything about the Templars.
Yeah.
Although
this
this
one was a little
is
different.
probably before they called themselves the Templars. This is probably before that.
Also, for me, I don't know if it was just me, but a lot of the animation was really stiff. The motion cap, it didn't feel like it was mocap. It felt like it was keyframe. It was really stiff.
I think the game was still very early.
It's possible it's not finished yet, but
Yeah.
it felt really like
It
could
did
use
look,
some
the animation
polish.
looked a little off. It could use a little
Yeah.
more polish.
Yeah.
But I think it was still pretty early in development when we.
Yeah, the
when we
visual,
showed
the
this to us.
visuals looked nice, but the animation was a little like this is a
Yeah.
first where they're still working on it.
Yeah.
So,
So it's the setting is ancient Greece. The setting is ancient Greece, and there's land and sea gameplay. So they'll have a little bit of that from a little bit of sea gameplay there, where you have you'll shoot flaming arrows at other ships.
They sort of locked that in with that other one. They'll probably
Yes.
always have some. At this point, they're probably always going to have some sort of ocean play now after that.
Yep.
To
With-
some degree.
During the war between Sparta and Athens.
You can have a choice of a main character, a male character, I forget his name.
male or female.
And a female character. And then once you
Yep.
pick them, I think you continue play with them. It's a starting game option. Once you select it, you keep them for the rest of that the
Yeah.
rest of that
Yep.
game.
You get the Spear of Leonidas as a weapon. I guess that might be an artifact from the civilization that came before. That's
It's supposed to give
passed
you
down.
powers. Yeah. And it's supposed to give you special powers and abilities.
Yeah.
and stuff.
And they ended it with a Minotaur. There was a Minotaur scene at the very, very end of it.
It felt less historical and more Greek fantasy.
Yeah,
Because I thought Assassin's Creed were supposed to be a bit of
because it didn't feel like you were in the.
historical.
It didn't feel like you were replaying genetic memories in the anime.
Yeah, it had none of that.
Yeah, it didn't have any of that. Well, in the trailer, it didn't
nothing
seem to have that.
nothing that they alluded to anyway.
Yeah. And they had, you could have dialogue choices in conversations.
And they said
And
the choices have an impact on the story and whatnot.
yep. And it looks like they have a new combat system. I think they might be adopting a little bit of the combat system from Assassin's Creed Origins. But they have a new combat system for the game, a new progression system, and it seems like they also have large battles and factions. There was one gameplay.
Yeah, there was one part where you had this large fight, and then you're in there and you're picking out targets, and then
Yep.
you had this large guy. He struck her one time, and I'm like, if he were to actually hit her with that actual big thing, she would not survive that.
No.
So, another game said, ding, she survived this.
But that's coming out October 5th. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is coming out October 5th. This is June, July, August, September, October. It's about 5 months away.
Yeah.
So they have time to fix the animation and stuff.
Yeah, it's probably not finished. They probably just haven't uploaded the final version and whatnot.
That's what they closed the night out with.
Yeah, like I said, my impression of theirs is, like I said, it was definitely playing it safe with what games they were choosing. They definitely used the stage a lot more. They had one unique standout game. Overall, fairly polished. A few kind of slightly awkward moments,
Yeah.
but overall, the presentation was pretty good. I would say they did a really good job. I thought their It's strange in a few places, but overall, I'd say they did a good job. They used what they had well.
Now, we had to jump over to Twitch to watch the PC gaming show.
Yeah.
And they had a few interesting games here. The one that you were specifically very interested in. There was one that you were pretty interested in. But they had a few interesting games. Mostly a lot of indie games. Mostly a lot of PC-only indie games.
It was almost kind of harsh because you've gone through two things of very high polish, very AAA style, very high detail, very, safe, presentations, and then you hit this one, it's like, bam, totally opposite.
Oh, totally opposite.
Other end, very, very little AAA type stuff.
Yeah.
Much more indie, small-time developer, not as well polished. Small 1 or 2 team developer folks.
Yep.
Who've managed to get enough out there to make it, more on a bigger stage.
Mm-hmm.
New up and comers and developing games. Some of them were. Some of those games were really kind of light on. It's like it was just kind of harsh. It was like the following all of those really heavy hitters made it feel rough. I would almost highlight how
it was a jarring. It was a jarring change.
It was very jarring to do that. It's very jarring. It's almost like this should have been first, kind of as the opening act, and then lead into the Square Enix and Bethesda. They should have opened with this because it was like bringing out the opening act after you've heard the main person sing, and it's like, yeah, it was just like one of these is not like the other. It's like it highlighted it too much.
Yeah,
you felt it too much.
The one thing with these games though is that graphics doesn't always make a great game.
No, I mean that's true, and there was some unique...
Order 1886. I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I mean, they were going for unique gameplay. They were going for unique stories.
Yeah.
A lot of cab driver games. I don't know what the deal with, why the theme suddenly...
Not sure why they had that.
I there's like 2 or 3 of those in there. But, and the presentation was very low-key.
Yeah.
The female host got very awkward at one point with the shark game. She got herself. I think she ad-libbed it and then didn't realize what kind of trouble she got herself into really quickly. So she was just trying to add. And then the host guy, very good at improv. He looked like a salesman from the 80s, like a vacuum sales cleaner guy. But he actually handled a couple of, he did like one little improv that kind of worked for him, one joke that caught pretty good. And then there was another case where they had a technical issue, and he improv the solution really, really quickly until they got the technical issue sorted out. So he was actually very good, even if he was a little campy. He was actually very good at his job.
Yeah.
So I got to give that guy credit. He handled the situation on stage very well. The woman was very awkward and did not handle it very well. Although she kind of recovered, but it was too late. It was too late. It was like, no, you messed it up, lady. Because we'll get to that when we get to the actual game. But it was a moment that it's like, is she gonna have a job when she's done?
So we had to go over to PC Gamer's Twitch page to
it wasn't part of the IGN group. They weren't carrying it.
They've been doing this for 4 years now. So this whole thing where they were doing the PC gaming show is 4 years old. So they started out with a really small venue, and slightly larger and slightly larger, and they were even in a bigger venue this time than they were last year, and more people came to it.
It's slowly growing. It looked, and they do okay. I mean, definitely you could tell they were, not the big person, not the big guy on the block, but they definitely they did all right.
Yeah,
they did okay. They didn't wreck it too much. So,
and they had 30 games.
30 games
this time around. Now the first one that you caught your attention, and that was Satisfactory.
Oh yeah, I want to. That one's not. It's like, I think it's not even in beta or not even alpha yet or something. I forget. Yeah. But it's where you build this large. Basically, you're on a new planet, and you're trying to build up to this massive structure. But in order to do that, you have to
It's almost like a
gather
cross
resources.
between Planet Nomads and some of the other factory building games.
Yeah, and so you build all these parts and develop more stuff and build more parts and build up, and it was really interesting looking the kinds of terrains, environments, and the kind of gizmos you would have to build. It looked like it might be a fun game to play.
Yeah, and there was sort of fighting with, you had to fight creatures in the environment, and you had to go mining. You had to go into underground looked like you had to go into underground tunnels, I think. Also, and you had to do some mining on the surface, and you had vehicles.
Yeah.
And trains. You said, oh, they got trains.
Oh, they got trains. I'm hooked. They got trains.
And it was all in first person. The area they have is about 30. The area of the map is 30 square kilometers.
30 square kilometers. So they give you a lot of room to work.
That's pretty big.
And then, like, the things are spread out, so you have to have you have these automated trucks that go and pick up materials and bring them back. It was where you're building this entire thing to get all this to build it up to whatever it is you're trying to construct.
Yep. And just like Imperium, and a lot of other games like it, and Space Engineers and a lot of them, co-op multiplayer on dedicated servers.
Yeah.
So you don't have to connect to their servers to play.
It's one I would like to take a shot at.
Yeah, that looked interesting. Then the one of the cab ones you were talking about. This is NeoCab.
NeoCab
had a interesting visual aesthetic to it. I almost looked like SimCity sort of art style to it.
SimCity?
SimCity comic.
Oh,
art
SimCity.
style.
Okay, yeah.
And
maybe, yeah.
You're a cab driver in the future where there's mostly driverless vehicles. And there's a lot of things where you can get involved in, a lot of drama with your passengers. Like sometimes you can get a wanted passenger and a bunch of other situations, and you have to deal.
You get shut down for less.
And you have to deal with those situations, and also deal with the police and everything else. It looked interesting. Then the next game after that, they didn't spend too much time on it. Next game after that was Maverick's Proving Grounds. It was the first of the Battle Royale games that they were covering. They did several
Battle Royale games.
This one, visually, it doesn't look that much different from... Visually, this one doesn't look much different from PUBG. And I think even the presenter was saying, was talking to the developer, they were saying what makes your game stand out from others, because it is getting to be a crowded genre. The whole Battle Royale genre is starting to get a little crowded. And so this one will have 1,000 players on the map, and there'll be
quantity over quality.
There'll be a closed beta coming soon. And one thing he said is when you move through the environment, the tracks you leave are persistent. Like if you disturb the grass or you disturb bushes, if you disturb the sand, you will leave tracks, and those tracks will be persistent, so people can track you with it. And follow you with it. So that's an interesting little gimmick there. So they have
that's a lot of demand for a game like that. For that many people and keeping that much data around.
Yeah.
What would be interesting to see is if the game can hold up under all that stress.
Yeah. And the sign-ups for the closed beta are happening now. So you look up Maverick's Proving Grounds, and you'll be able to go and sign up for the closed beta for that now.
That's what I need the numbers of in order to test that and stress test.
Yeah. Then I didn't look up what this originally came from. I should have looked it up. But they have a game built from a mod. A mod that actually became its own full running game.
Actually. There were a couple of us in this where there was mods that were so popular they actually were assisted in turning them into full games.
Yeah.
That happened a couple times. This was the one of a couple.
And I think this was the first to get a major award. Award for storytelling. It was the Forgotten City.
Yeah. And
so in this world, if one person commits a sin, everyone pays for it. Everyone pays for it. It looks like everyone gets turned into these gold statues.
Yeah.
So you have to, and it's a sort of a mystery sort of game where you have to do investigating, and you have to solve some kind of riddle, some kind of mystery, some kind of problem. No real combat in the game. It was all mostly you trying to piece together the whole mystery of the world, why everything's the way it is, things going on. No more real details about it. It's coming out in next year, but we didn't really get that much more details about.
Yeah, they didn't have a whole lot on it.
Then Star Control Origins, and there's an interesting little backstory thing about that. Stardock has some of the rights to Star Control. They can make a Star Control game, but they can't set the game in the original Star Control universe. They have to create their own sort of thing. They can't make it a sequel or prequel to the existing Star Control mythos. They have to create their own. So this is Stardock creating their own. It's some weird legal thing.
It's still strange to me that Stardock is actually doing games. That was like, when I first heard about the Star Control issue, I was kind of like, Stardock, don't they make like those window blinds?
They make quite a few games.
Did they? I don't see that very often. It's like I don't see much from them. So I was kind of
They got Ashes of the Singularity. They made that, which was one of the first DirectX 12 games.
I've heard the name.
And also they make space opera combat games, Sins of a Solar Empire.
Okay.
So they
I just haven't come across them in everything I've been looking at. It doesn't pop up for me.
So it's a Star Control Origins. It's an open world universe exploration. Planets look very much like the worlds from Spore.
Was this the? Oh, this was that one. Yeah.
From the space exploration.
This is the one I called. This was the one I called Spore Part 2. That was the one, because I knew there was one game I had called Spore Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where it's like, maybe this is after you met Steve, or something. This is that one, because I remember thinking about that, where you can do all the genetic research and all that other stuff, wasn't it? I think it was this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it felt like
this was not that one. This was a different.
Okay, that's that one. Okay.
That was a different one.
Okay.
And the NPCs have their own lives. They do their own things in this.
Was this the one where they said if you're doing something in one part of the universe, something would still be going on in another part of the universe, that it was live?
Yep. And it was infinite universe. I guess they do procedure generation.
Yeah.
With this, they mentioned also they would have mod support. They'd have a separate PvP mode, a separate PvP combat mode. So there'd be no PvP in the base game.
Yeah. And it was like, I forget, some kind of fleet combat or something. Yep.
It's available for pre-order now, and it'll be out on September 20th. Oh, that one looked interesting. I never played Star Control, but I remember it from way back when, because I used to actually watch Star Control games at Babbage's when there was still a Babbage's. When they had those display out in front of the store in the mall, where you could actually see games being played. And Star Control was one of the big titles back then in the 90s. Okay, Hunt Showdown. They didn't show much of this. I saw a little bit of this like last year, where basically you are a hunter hunting down monsters. Essentially.
Okay, that one. Yeah, there wasn't that much to it.
There wasn't that much to it. It was
just
basically a new trailer.
Yeah.
It looked interesting. I had seen a little bit of it before, but they didn't give us a lot of more details on it. Then Archangel Hellfire, multiplayer mech game. Looked now Hawken, the mech game that came before it was an FPS game and got a lot of attention because its audio was really good. The PC version of that shut down because of lack of players, but the console version's still going. So now we have another mech game, and the mechs look a little different. They're more anime-ish mechs in this one rather than the blocky, boxy ones from Hawken in this. They did not specifically say if it was going to be free to play or not. They're probably just a game that you just buy it and you just play online. Multiplayer. Probably have your own servers, maybe. Again, they didn't give a lot of details. It looked like Unreal Tournament Deathmatch in mechs, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this was coming out in July. So, next month. I played a lot of Hawken, Daniel. I played a lot of it. I really liked that game. And I stopped after a while because I had earned a lot of the mechs. And then I stopped for a while to play some other stuff, and then I never did go back to it. I wanted to, because it was a fun game. It was a fun game. Okay, The Sinking City. This is an open world exploration game with no real combat. There's no combat aspect.
This was another one. Was this another one that was made off of a mod?
I don't think this was made off of a mod.
There was something different about the development. They stopped and talked about this one.
Yeah, because this was where you did investigate. They had a supernatural aspect to the game. It was inspired by H.P. Lovecraft stories.
Okay, yeah, that's
and your level of sanity or insanity had a factor in the game. And there was no hand holding. You would get no.
Yeah,
arrows
you would
point
have to
away.
pay attention to everything that was going on, to your environment.
Yep.
You would have proceed with the story.
Yeah. There is a little bit of combat in the game, but it's not the focus. The focus is exploration and investigation.
It's solving the mystery.
Solving the mystery, and there's really limited ammo in the game for combat.
Yeah.
Really limited ammo. Then they talked about the next update to Warframe, and Warframe has really been killing it lately. They have got a lot of players who left Destiny 2 went over to Warframe. And this is from Digital Extremes, the guys who worked with Epic on Unreal Tournament, and also worked with them on the on Unreal and Unreal Tournament. This is from them, and people just love the game. Gun Griffin Allied Strike? That was from a long time ago, if I recall. Was that from original Xbox or PlayStation, Daniel? I don't recall. I've heard that name before, though.
I've not said too much about Enix because I've not done any of these style of games. So
Denton. Actually, we're on fumes. We're running on fumes.
Yeah.
Because we had a lot going on. Because I got very little sleep. I don't get very good sleep. And Tygra had almost no sleep.
Yeah.
Except for a few naps during the day, because he was working on the new machine for the new set that we have building. He was working on that all night. And he stayed up until like 9 in the morning because he had to take one of the graphics cards to RMA it, And then we had to be up to watch the E3 conferences.
I'm living off catnaps and that's it.
Yes, it's like, oh.
So I'm a little drained. When we get done here, I'm gonna crash.
Oh, same here. Same here. So, the next update coming for Warframe is the Sacrifice. I played a little bit of Warframe. I still have it. I'm going to play it some more. It's a good game. A lot of Destiny 2 players have been jumping over to it. A lot of Destiny 2 players. And they treat the community right. They don't exploit them like a lot of other free-to-play games do. And this update continues the existing story that's been going on for some time, and I want to go through that whole story. And they'll have more information in July at Tygra Kahn. And you can, of course, if you link your Twitch account to the game, you'll get free loot. Because I've seen that pop up because I have Amazon Prime, so I have Twitch Prime. And so there's like free loot for Warframe. So if I connect my game account to my Twitch account, I'll be able to grab that. Then they talked about Sega's PC games. So they're bringing Shining Resident Refrain and Shenmue 1 and 2 to PC.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be able to play, as I didn't get to finish Shenmue when I had it on the old Dreamcast. I would like to be able to, and the second one, I would like to be able to go back and play those.
Also, a couple of the Yakuza games.
I was kind of hoping they were going to show us Shenmue 3 too, because I thought that was supposed to be a thing at some point. That's
still in development. The last I heard.
But it's good to know that 1 and 2 are going to come out and be available.
Yeah. That one was still in development last I heard. That one's not out yet. Shenmue 3. Yeah. I've never played any of the Shenmue games.
I got part of the way through it.
You had the original Dreamcast at one time.
I had the Dreamcast version, and I got part way into it. And then I think I started playing something else or doing something else, and I never went back and finished it.
Yeah.
But I liked what I saw, though.
Now, here's the one that I think you were also thinking about. Killing Floor 2. Now, the original Killing Floor was a mod. Forget which game it was for. It was probably either Half-Life. I think it might have been a Half-Life mod.
Yeah, because I think this was the other one that was a mod that was.
This was another one that became its own game, and so they have 4 updates coming. The first one was released in March. New 70 different weapons. They're bringing the side show with Circus Freaks back. This one you'll be battling on airships. This is that one. That was
really bizarre looking. I was like, what in the world is going on here?
So it'd be available tomorrow and have a free weekend. And Tripwire will be is gonna do publishing now. They're gonna help some studios get their games out. And that's the one that we were talking about earlier called Maneater. That one. Where you basically
your Jaws.
Open world RPG where you are a shark.
Yeah.
Now, Jaws the game sucked. It was awful. So hopefully this is better than Jaws the game.
Hopefully it's better. But it was what was it, Maneater something or other? What was it? There's the title of it. Something Maneater.
That's a Hall & Oates song.
No, but it was the joke where the woman said said something like.
Oh, it's one of her favorite things.
One of her favorite things to do on the weekend.
Yes.
And everyone was like, "What?"
I don't think she quite knew what she did there.
Yeah, because I was like, I was sitting there thinking, when I was thinking the game is Maneater something or other, and I was like, you could make a bad joke about that. And no sooner I was like, she runs off and says that, oh, yeah, it's like doing the weekend. I'm like, Oops. And she's kind of turning around and behave. It's like, yeah, somebody's in trouble.
Yeah, they were very non-PC, and you get PC.
She got in trouble for that, I think. Like, that's what you do on the weekend, huh? Okay.
And they had this weird little
weekend
thing.
Entertainment.
Yeah, and they had this weird little thing where they have this company called Untitled Publisher.
Yeah. Was that the one that was helping? Was that the one you were talking about that had helping other people get developed? I think it was the ones they were doing.
Well, that was Tripwire Games. They were going to help other companies get published.
To get out there, because it's for the difficulty of getting out. Okay.
Yeah, and Maneater was from the developer that created the Killing Floor mod that the game Killing Floor was based on.
Okay.
Okay, but this is different. They're doing something called Bravery Network, which looked like it may be some kind of RPG. It was a little strange. It was it might be not a mobile game, but it looked like a mobile game, but it's a PC game. It was very weird.
Yeah, a lot of these games qualified as slightly strange.
Then something called Morning Star, and there was virtually no details on it, and it was a very odd trailer. And then Overwhelm, that's out on Steam now, and that looked like a retro Metrovania shooter.
Yeah.
So that looked pretty interesting. Then they talked a little bit about Jurassic World Evolution, which is the reason why
Elite Dangerous isn't getting into development because they're busy making this.
Mm-hmm.
That's where all the resources are being spent.
My little child Matthew, he is big into dinosaurs when he was a kid.
If this game had been back then, you would not have been able to keep him off.
He loved Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, which was another park building game back then. He loved it, and I sent him a copy of it. I had a copy of it, and I sent him a copy of the game so that he could show his girlfriend that's living with him. And this is sort of the evolution of that, set in the Jurassic World universe, where you build a park and you have to balance between running the park and keeping the place safe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that your visitors don't get eaten.
Invited to dinner.
Yes. And they had Jeff Goldblum doing a voiceover.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum was doing the voiceover for the narration for
Ian
the trailer.
Malcolm.
So,
Chaos Theory. And they brought Insomniac Games out.
Jeff Goldblum is the embodiment of chaos. He's always in the middle of something.
Yes. Then they brought out Insomniac Games with Stormland. This is a open world VR RPG where you play as a robot. That was the one where you play as a robot and you can fly around.
Oh yeah.
It said it was for Oculus Rift, but it will probably support other VR headsets too.
Most of the Rift games, there's a way to hijack it and turn it into a Vive game, whether they like it or not.
Yeah. So you scavenge technology to add to your body and different things, and it looked interesting.
It looked interesting.
Actually, it looked fun. We need
it's
good.
One of those I'm gonna have to find a way to hijack a game into VR or into the Rift computer.
We need more VR games. Some people say VR is dead, but it's not. It's just still in its very early
they're not
stages.
helping. They're not helping that issue. They're hurting themselves.
Yeah.
Because all VR needs to be a thing, not just them versus another VR. They don't need that. VR doesn't need that kind of division and separation right now.
It needs an open standard so that all developers can rally behind, can work with it instead of having to try and support all these different versions.
You just can't go and I've got a PlayStation. Maybe I'll go pick up a Sony a little while and I'll have both.
Yeah.
VR is way too expensive and it's too complicated to set up to have that kind of division. So,
Yeah.
So, and that's a game I would be interested in trying, and they got it. It looked like it was, because they didn't say anything about Vive support.
Yeah.
Like it was locked behind Oculus, and I'm like, not cool, folks.
Yeah, not cool with that. But it's still it looked really interesting. I mean, we need big titles like that for VR.
Yeah, we do. VR is not going anywhere, but it's not going to go away. There's too many people who still enjoy it as a thing. And there's enough developers out there to keep it going, but yeah, it needs that unity to kind of, and that cross-platformness to make it better, to bring that medium to its fullest.
If you ever play a VR game and you play like Elite Dangerous, or even playing the whole Batman experience that was released in VR, it changes things. When you do it, it's a completely new experience. It's like it's difficult to describe. You have to actually try it, because
playing Elite Dangerous on a flat screen, even I don't care if you're in 4K, it don't matter, as opposed to playing it in VR, is a completely different experience.
Yes,
totally. And we need more of that.
Yes, we do.
I mean, it doesn't have to be the end all. It's not like everything has to be VR and it's going to take over the gaming world. No, it's a platform for the right tool for the right job kind of platform.
Yeah.
It's a way to have a different experience in the games that you can't otherwise get. It's not for everyone. It's not for everything. It's not taking over. It's another platform that needs to be expanded and grown, because it's an enjoyable one.
Yes.
To have those kind of unique experiences.
Yes. Now, the other taxi game that you had referred to before, Night Call. They didn't really show any much of that either. This one also had sort of a Sin City-esque sort of look to the graphics too.
I think was this the one I made the comment about, something about looked like a porn site or something?
Night Call.
Yeah, Night Call. I'm like, okay, it's like, imagine trying to type that into URL of some browsers and the things you might get. I was like,
and this one apparently is a crime drama.
Yeah.
But again, not a lot of details. Mostly just a really short teaser trailer. And that's it.
A lot of these were that way. There wasn't. Well, they had 30 to go through, so they didn't. They were like Microsoft, is that they kept the pace popping. They kept it moving.
They didn't shotgun through them as fast as Microsoft did.
Not quite as fast, but they moved
they moved at a brisk pace. Yeah.
Brisk pace, yeah.
The next game they covered was Sable. Sable, it had some very beautiful cel-shaded graphics and some very detailed animation to it. The animation was really nice.
That one had the most unique look out of everything.
This was made by two guys.
Yeah.
Two developers. It's an open world desert exploration RPG. There's no combat in the game.
My only concern about it is the games that have just too much exploration only wind up feeling empty after a while.
Yeah.
And so they are going to need more content in there, because it really felt like, okay, you're going to explore, get a desert, and after about 5 minutes of the game, now what are you doing?
Sounds almost like it would be something akin to Journey, the game Journey, or
so
Abzu.
It'd be interesting how they really supply that, activity in the game.
It's inspired by French and German comics and Studio Ghibli. And the music is done by Japanese Breakfast, which is an artist I have not heard of before, but I'll have to check their music out. Art called Japanese Breakfast, band or group or band. Then they did a trailer for Star Citizen.
Yeah.
For Alpha 3.2. Still, it looks good.
Star Citizen. What I call it? I said the most expensive game you cannot play. Is that what I said?
Well, the most expensive game you can barely play.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. The most expensive game you can barely play.
Yeah.
That's what I called Star Citizen.
I don't think Chris Roberts is out to deliberately scam people. I think he is experiencing another. He's another Peter Molyneux. He is trying to deliver
when you
more.
Look at that trailer, it looks as polished as all the other AAA games that you saw back in Bethesda and Ubisoft, but it's.
I know. They need to get Squadron 42 out the door. Stop working on it. Stop adding new technology. Just get it out.
Getting it out the door, if they're trying to get money to keep going, getting sales on Squadron 42 would get them some of the money they need.
Yes.
Instead of selling ships they can't even make yet.
Yeah.
You know, for thousands of dollars, get that game out the door and get the revenue for that going.
Yeah.
That, to me, that would be my priority. If I was doing this, I would have that game out the door. It's like I'd be getting that thing out the door, getting it working, and getting a revenue stream going, so that way there's a constant flow of income.
Yep.
You know, and then have a small team set aside to keeping and doing expansions for it while they work on the rest of Star Citizen.
They got to get out of alpha and into beta.
Yeah, bad time, big time, royally.
Yes. And then speaking of paying the bills, they brought out a guy from Acer. Talk about Acer Predator displays and laptops, and talking about a $9,000 laptop that they ship with a Pelican case because of its big screen.
Yeah, it's a curved screen 4K. Is it curved screen 4K laptop?
Yeah.
It's like $9,000. Like, oh my god. Yeah, you
Send one this way. I will beta test that thing.
I was like, man. Like, okay, that's an expensive laptop.
Okay. Genesis Alpha 1. This is the one that you spoke of before, where you can experiment with alien DNA on your crew.
Ah, okay.
Where you can build and expand your ship. You're basically trying to find a home for your crew out in deep space.
Would somebody really sign up for a crew where we sign up as a crew member where you know they're going to be janking with your DNA while you're on your journey? Who would sign up? I mean, sign up for that, really? That had to have not been in the crew sign up material to. You're not gonna know you're gonna be messed with.
It did look interesting. The graphics looked very good on it, and the gameplay looked interesting. Sort of alien-esque. You had that alien feel to it, and the whole experimenting with genetics sort of thing. Sounds a little interesting.
Doing horrible and terrible things to your crew.
And then another sponsor bit with Drake's Cakes, which I never heard of Drake's Cakes. It must be a West Coast thing.
I flew right past it. It didn't even stand out to me.
So they have some kind of thing going on where you can win a trip to PAX West through that.
Yeah.
Then Don't Starve Hamlet, which is a Don't Starve game in a town. Which Don't Starve was always with you out in the forest. So that's weird. That's another indie game. And then they covered Just Cause 4. And new engine, no real new information than we had before. New engine, extreme weather effects, atmospheric models for aircraft. Everything from Just Cause 3 is in the game, but improved in the new AI. And then they're trying for yet another first-person Walking Dead game. Hopefully, this will be better than the past first-person Walking Dead game, which was Walking Dead.
I think I started getting to the point of passing out, but I don't even really remember what this was. This was getting pretty far into it.
Yeah, so
I remember seeing a little bit of that, and I was like, The Walking Dead, and it was like, was this the one that had all the zombie thing going on with all the other? It was something.
This had a Left 4 Dead 2 vibe to it.
Okay.
This had a very strong Left 4 Dead 2 vibe to it, and it's set in Washington D.C. So this is set in Washington D.C. and it's from the developers of Payday, the Payday series.
Okay.
So it's from them. And then they didn't touch on that. They didn't spend too much time on that. Then the last game in the Walking Dead series from Telltale Games. They have unscripted combat in this one. You actually get to move around in third person, in a third person perspective in this one. You play as Clementine. You follow. She was a character in the original Walking Dead game, and you played as, I forget his name. He was a convict, and his police vehicle crashed when he ran into a zombie.
There was some additional information in the IGN stuff, or one of the programs afterwards, that this is the last game in the series, that they're finishing it off.
This is the last game of the series. They're finishing off her story.
Are a complete story now.
Yeah. She sort of finds this whole school with kids in it.
Yeah, and that she's settling in now. She's trying to settle in and establish a place for to live.
Yeah, so you have to like handle outside threats and maybe establish alliances and fend off the zombies. That's coming in August 14th.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going through this because there's a lot to go. We're going through this fast because there was a lot to go through, and also we're hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
And Daniel, I don't know when they're going to release the Left 4 Dead 3. It's been confirmed that we are finally going to get Half-Life 3. We are finally going to get it. It's going to come through the community.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, it's going to be a community effort the same way.
In other words, if they're not going to do it, fine, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah,
kind of thing from the fans. Huh?
And it's going to come from the community. Valve is sort of backing them the way they also backed the guys that were working on Black Mesa.
Hey, it's great when you're a game company and the games write themselves. You just kind of give them a little push every now and then, steer them the right direction.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah. But in a way though, it's kind of a good thing because it gives people experience who are trying to get into the game world, that they can get into this and say, yeah, I worked on this in this game, and they can include that in their resume. So it actually is a good thing when I did see this a lot today, where game companies are reaching out to their communities and allowing them to participate at different stages in the development of those games. I like that. I really like that, because it's a good thing for the developer it allows the community to be involved in games they like, and gives people experience. They can put that on their resumes. They're trying to get into the game developer world, that they have these, that it helps answer that. How do you get experience if you can't get a job in the industry? And this helps answer that for people, is giving them that experience to get in there.
Yeah.
So I like that. It helps find that good talent out there. Yeah. So very, very good for those companies to do that.
Yeah. Then a pixel graphics game called Noita, with physics simulation, where every pixel is fully simulated.
I was looking at that and I was like, this feels like a Super Lemmings game.
Yeah.
I felt like Lemmings, on a whole nother level.
But it's a platformer, and it's a roguelike, so you're going to have permadeath.
It was just that feel to it, that kind of the way Lemmings had. It kind of made me think of that. It wasn't Lemmings, but it made me kind of think of that in the way that the world was sort of destructible.
Yeah. That looked interesting. Then 2 Point Hospital. That's the one where they brought out the guys in the
oh yeah, that's where they had their
doctor's garb, and they had the malfunction with the microphone with the stethoscope.
Something caused it to echo back and shorted out the mic. And the guy's like, here, talk to my mic, and he wraps his arm around him like, here, talk to the tie. It it was kind of like he's improvising to solve the technical issue, and he's like having to do something awkward, but it's what he needs to do in order to keep the show going.
Yeah.
He's just like, roll with it, guy, roll with it. We're just gonna keep going. That was
So,
funny. It was like
it's sort of like
he
a
did good.
funny version of Sim Hospital, where you run your own hospital and you can.
Yeah, very sim like kind of a game.
Like they did a monobrow joke where monobrows were like they moved some furniture and there were some monobrows crawling around underneath it,
and they had the turtle head syndrome, and they were rotating that guy in that contact like the machine. And they're like trying to get him to get
pulled his head out.
It was funny.
That was funny.
Was cute.
That
might
cute.
there's probably a lot of laughs in that game.
Then Realm Royale, which is Hi-Rez Studios Battle Royale. They're based in the Paladins universe. So that game, it's the fantasy base. Their take on the whole Battle Royale thing is this is fantasy based. This is from Hi-Rez, so they're the ones that made Paladins, which came out around the same time as Overwatch, sort of the hero shooter sort of genre. So this takes that idea into the battle royale genre. You'll have fantasy classes. It's in alpha right now, and you'll have forges in the game where you can craft stuff. I believe what they said in this game, when you start crafting, it creates.
Oh yeah, this is that one. Yeah, smoke signal.
It creates a smoke signal, and people will start coming
running. You gotta hurry up and get it done because you're gonna get hunted by doing. The minute you do that, you're giving away your location if you're trying to upgrade.
And if you stream on Mixer, you can win some special cosmetics.
Mm-hmm.
And another cutesy game, Ooblet, which is a sort of a weird cross between Stardew Valley and Pokemon, where you basically grow your creatures.
Okay, that's the one I was thinking.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting to get to that.
This was weird. This one's also coming to Xbox.
Yeah, this wasn't the one that was the resurrection one yet. That's later, right? That's near the end.
The resurrection one?
That rapture one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still waiting to get to that.
Yes. And
I think that was near the end.
Another game in the Anno franchise, Anno 1800, which is sort of Anno games are sort of like a cross between Civilization and SimCity-esque sort of game. It's set during the 1800s.
Oh yeah, okay. Where you're building up your towns and during the 1800s and developing it.
They set up the Anno Union so they can get feedback from the community for the devs.
This was another community developer interaction, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can vote on new boats to add to the game, and if your vote wins, you get to design. You get to design a boat for the game.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Boats are usually a big thing in the Anno games. Then the one you cracked up on this one, Rapture Reject.
Oh god, that was so funny.
This was the last Battle Royale game.
I laughed so hard at that. You know, I grew up in that religion, so I kind of recognized the trope.
Yes.
And I laughed so hard at that. It was so funny.
It's like the guy who's praying before he goes to bed, and he gets in bed, and then all of a sudden the light in the window, and he looks out,
like,
and everybody's being pulled up, and he's thinking,
just waiting.
And then he hears a thumping noise, and he looks over, and the guy that was just drinking and stuff in his bed is trying to.
Boom, 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 boom on the ceiling.
He goes, "Could you help me out?"
And he grabs him like a hot air balloon. He pulls him over and lets him go. And he goes up. And then you have the other one where they're like going up, and one of them's dangling on the other's leg.
Oh, the old man, the woman goes, "Carol, get back here! You didn't rake the leaves." And he goes, "Oh, get off me, you damn woman!" And he kicks her off, and then all of a sudden the light goes out.
The light goes out.
He starts praying, "Oh, please, please, please!" And he falls down.
That was so funny.
Yes.
I that was. That was
That
so
was
funny.
good. That
That
was
was a
good.
good
That
one to
caught
end this
that
on.
caught
That
attention.
was-
That woke us
That
up.
was awesome.
That
Yes.
one woke us up. And then they went over to Hitman 2. They closed out the show with
Yeah,
Hitman
he
2.
posted on Hitman 2. That's right. It was Hitman 2.
It's a new trailer. It's coming out in November. They have a new mechanic where you can hide in the crowd. You have this picture-in-picture sort of view where you can see what's going on in the level.
They had like timed events or something. Timed kills. You got one shot at getting it right.
Yep. Then they're bringing back. They get new disguises, new weapons. You can hit somebody with a trout. Hit someone with a fish. They're bringing back the sniper suitcase. One thing I did not like is only the pre-orders are getting the new co-op mode.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
That was really weird. I was like, what? Yeah.
And the game is sort of a somewhat semi-open world sort of game.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be, but I didn't like the fact that they locked a whole game mode behind pre-orders. I never liked when they do that.
That's not cool.
No,
That's not cool.
that's not cool. So they ended the PC Gamer show with Hitman, and then I think we collapsed after that and slept for about an hour and a half.
Wow. Yeah. Until the other
until-
ones that my
Until
time got totally wasted by Sony.
until Sony, and
Oh, what have they done? What were they smoking?
I don't know.
Okay. So what they
You wasted our time, Sony.
What the hell? So it starts out with this kind of churchy looking set.
Yeah.
And the crowd's sitting there, and it's very small, very contained. I'm like, wow, this is gonna be a small presentation.
I saw what they did, because they started the game. They started the whole thing with The Last of Us, doing a big long trailer for it, and the venue was designed to look like they
built the set as a scene from there, like you're there with them on that stage, or in that environment that the trailer is taking place in, where the two characters are interacting. There at the beginning.
Oh, they were interacting.
Yeah. I don't know how well that was received either, because it was like, wait, I don't remember that being part of the story before?
I don't know.
I don't know if that was new to that character or not.
Spoiler alert, Ellie is a lesbian.
Yeah, I was like, what? Okay, whatever. But that wasn't what really that wasn't the problem. I mean, it's like, okay, whatever. And they had a long sequence of like a flashback in the middle of their moment.
That part I liked. That seemed very Tomb Raider-ish.
It was brutal too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hardcore.
It was brutal. I mean, she
very
was a
brutal.
badass.
Yeah. I mean, that's where like it got interesting. It's like, okay, now we're getting on to the real thing. It took him forever because he's a banjo guy and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, just get on with it already. Finally we get into that. It's like, okay, it's good. Now we're getting started. Now they're rolling. So we get to this whole thing where she's doing this whole little adventure, and she's fighting all these guys and doing all these moves and shooting them with arrows. And I mean, she looks beat up.
Yeah.
It's like, she should have not been able to survive that. I mean, she looked really beat down after doing all that combat. That's rough, because like, it really affected her look and appearance and everything, and assuming that's all actual gameplay stuff.
But she just beat the hell out of those people.
Yeah, and then once it's over with, they kind of go back to that moment, and then they return back to the set, and they stop. They stop the whole thing to take everybody who was in this little church setting and move the audience, make the audience get out of their chairs, walk over to the main hall, and get settled in those chairs to go on with the rest of the presentation. And they were done. They were stopped for 5 minutes.
Just sitting there listening to these people just yap at this
while they're moving the audience.
Oh, Sony,
out of this building,
my brain. You made my brain hurt, Sony. You made my brain hurt.
What the hell? What? Okay.
I stayed up running on fumes for this.
And anyway, well, it gets better because once they get moved, see what they were doing. There was a little theme between every game. Was a music thing. There was a little music-y thing. First, it was the banjo before the game. Then between the game and the other game, there was the flute guy, an actual on flute, and he was the only person that anybody saw on the other stage. You went into this big auditorium and moved the entire audience to see one guy play a flute.
Yeah.
And he was only moderately, it was okay.
Yeah.
And then you had that big thing behind him, and after that, nobody else showed up on that stage. You moved that audience for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, nobody
You
showed up on it
wasted
except
5
for that
minutes
guy.
For one guy to play a flute, and then after that, it was a trailer montage that you didn't need anybody to show.
Yeah.
It was a complete waste of our time. It was a complete waste of the audience's time. If I was that audience, I would have been stomping mad out of it.
Oh, God.
I would have been stomping mad. You set them in here. You have the banjo guy. You play the trailer. Cool. Then you make them get up, walk over to the other place, sit down, watch a guy play a flute, and then watch trailers for the next 20 minutes, and then leave. You're done.
And they didn't
even know it was done. They didn't say goodbye, have a good evening. They're just like, okay, bye.
Yeah. And they ran a ad for Call of Duty. It wasn't a trailer. It was an ad for Call of Duty, just announcing that they were having a couple of new maps.
And that was it. They just walked out.
The slums and the firing range.
The chat was blowing up. The people at IGN were like, "Are we done? What was that? What happened? Are they? What? Is it all?"
I know. And then announced.
Everybody was freaking out.
And they were still on the studio set. They were still on the studio set.
They were still talking as if it was going on, like they were resetting or doing something. And no, they were finished.
Yeah. So they were talking about bringing Black Ops 3 to PlayStation Plus, which is where if you have PlayStation Plus, you get free games every month. So they were talking about bringing Black Ops 3 to that.
Yeah, let's get to the games because
and then they briefly showed a bunch of games that they had shown before. Tetris Effect, Days Gone, Twin Mirror, one other one they just barely showed anything of, the PSVR game Ghost Giant, and then Beat Saber, and they barely showed anything of these games.
Yeah.
Especially Days Gone or that new Tetris game. Barely.
There was a Resident Evil game in there too.
Yeah, and they did show some of the Resident Evil game at some point here, but they went back to the new. They had this whole thing that looked like it was basically a dome that they were under. They went Destiny 2. They had a new trailer for the Forsaken DLC. It was basically a short trailer on that, as if anyone's going to play Destiny 2 still.
The whole presentation was barely the 20 minutes of actual time.
Actually,
get through all that.
Actually, the Destiny 2 was before they went to the new venue. After they went to the new venue, that's when they brought the guy dressed as a monk onto the stage, and he played the flute. Somebody
prayed to the fruit god. All right. Somebody got into something.
Now, what they showed was interesting. Actually, what they showed was interesting. It was a game set during the Mongol invasion.
Yeah, that one. That one looked.
Yeah.
That one looked. The lighting. Because even the IGN folks are commenting about how the lighting looked in that game.
Yeah. It looked very much like, I was saying, oh, this looks really good. This is like The Witcher. This is like on Witcher 3 levels of good.
It looked good. I mean, once it got rolling, and that one, and then they had a little adventure. They followed the character through, and he went on a little story adventure where one of his companions turned against him and whatnot, and that all looked pretty good.
The fighting mechanics when they were going to the fighting scene, it had a sort of Shadow of Mordor, Batman Arkham-esque.
Yeah, it had a very minimalistic kind of UI approach. It looked like maybe. and it was only until something was really important that you can attack now, sort of thing. They light up, so you know you can hit them. And then there was that one where he drops in from the roof and he swings between all three of them.
That was taken directly from one of the Batman Arkham games.
That type of move?
That kind of move was taken directly from Arkham City.
And then like
that. Yes, that came directly from Arkham City.
Okay.
That was Ghost of Tsushima. That was the name of the game. That looked interesting. I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah, more of that. That looked good.
And then they did this weird thing. They kept showing these different characters playing music instruments, and
musical instruments. They did that between all of them.
Thing is, they broke the whole Chekhov's gun thing with that, because they were showing all this, but there was never a game attached to them.
There was never a point to any of them.
To it.
Yeah, they were just there to say, okay, next game.
Yeah,
instead of having somebody talk about it or come on stage, it was like, okay, just throw a little music in there.
It was a jarring transition between them because of it.
Because you thought it was something coming up, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this must be part of another game. Nope, nothing. And it just went on. It was like, it was pointless. Yeah. They could have just moved into the next game and been done with it. We'd have recognized that, like the other stuff. But no, they just started introducing stuff and then killed it mid-flight. It's like, what's this all about? What's going on? Is there a point? It almost was like you felt like there was a point at the end, like there would be something that would have brought it all together and it'd been a new game announcement or something.
There was nothing like that at all.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. It's like
they were small teaser tidbits to something big that never showed up.
Yeah. I mean, they had a worse E3 showing than EA, and that's saying something.
I don't even have this qualified. This was just shoddy. It was. I got the feeling that it was literally to troll everybody. It was like trolling.
What I think it is it's complacency.
It's like
PlayStation 4 is really on top right now, and they're complacent. Thing is, Microsoft came out of their corner swinging hard.
They came out. Microsoft compared to Sony, when you compare these two, Microsoft had a lot of material to go through, and they kept it polished and fast.
Yes.
They did what they needed to do. They kept the pace good, not too fast, not too slow. We just had a lot. They kept it clean. They kept it sharp, focused. And Sony was just sloppy and messy and was just garbage everywhere.
Yes. It was awful. It was awful. Next game is from 505 Games, and that's the game Control. No premise whatsoever, just a trailer of this girl who has this shape-shifting gun in this world that's shape-shifting. Looks interesting.
Yeah, it was hard to know what was going on there.
Yeah. And so that's a game called Control. We got no details, just a name and a little bit of a trailer.
Yeah.
That's similar to what we got with the PC Gaming Show, where we got mostly trailers and very little explanation of what the game's even about.
Yeah.
And then we got another trailer where it started with this perspective of someone really tiny and small, and they were climbing up a shelf, and this cop started yelling at somebody and started fighting with someone, and we realized, oh, it's a rat. Oh, we're gonna play a game where it's a rat, and then at some point the rat gets killed by the shelf hitting it in the head and killing it, and then the cop gets knocked down on the floor, and the guy he's fighting with starts biting him and pulling on his flesh, and he looks up and it's a zombie, and the whole crowd starts going nuts, and then you hear a gunshot, and then in the background it's Chris Renfield from the Stars team in the background standing up, and just everybody goes completely nuts because it's it's the Resident Evil 2 remake that everybody's been waiting on.
Yeah.
And we finally
went nuts.
Yeah.
There were some people like Jim that they didn't even know what it was until they saw it, and that's when they were like, "Yeah, that's what it is." Yeah.
One of the very few high points during this whole thing, during this whole shit show. One of the very few high points. And then release date January 5th next year. And it's looking pretty good. Looks like they really did spend a lot of time working on this.
I will say one thing I noticed. The one thing I did notice though is the tone of a lot of the games in the Sony one. With what little they did, not everything was this way, but I noticed the majority of their games were very violent, very bloody games.
Yeah.
More than anybody else. You know, where, you know, Bethesda had all these adventure games, and Square Enix had all their Japanese-oriented games, and Microsoft had their very eclectic set of all types of genres. When you get to Sony, the majority of their games were the most violent, and the demos and trailers were the most violent of the whole E3 so far. The darkest of all of it.
And well, the player community on PS4 tends to be pretty. Well, all platform has this, but a big portion of the player community
the representation of their entire thing. The majority of it was that type of very dark, very bloody, very gory type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to say the other stuff didn't have some of that. I'm just saying that it felt like that was the dominant feel of the Sony, what they did have.
Yeah,
not everything, but it was like the
more violent games, more really violent, really bloody games. Whereas Microsoft had a very big variety.
It was a mix. Yeah, they had some stuff,
wasn't
but
all
it was
FPS.
Yeah, it wasn't a variety where this felt very, very specifically almost focused to that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it was just intentional or just what they had available that just was there, but it felt like that a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. I just noticed that was almost like a theme.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's their audience. That's who they cater to. That's who the PlayStation caters to, essentially. And then a game from the creators of Rick and Morty, and that had that Rick and Morty humor. It was the guy where they had the bathtub guy.
Oh,
there's another VR game.
That was an interesting thing.
Trover Saves the Universe. Just a trailer, no gameplay, but they definitely had that Rick and Morty humor.
And the PSA: don't watch TV near your tub.
Yes. Then a new trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, that's for this is probably the lightest of what they had amongst everything. And they actually gave more of. We had a different. Was this the one that had a different trailer in this?
Yeah.
That you saw a lot more. Still had that song with the bad beat, but you definitely got a different angle on what was going on. You definitely got more. You got to see more stuff.
You got to see more stuff.
There was more stuff, different angle, different longer sections where you got to see more of what was kind of going on.
Yep.
Oh, and also at the end they actually said that on the PS4 version you're going to get Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 as well.
Actually several of the past games from
I think it was a
Kingdom Hearts
and 2,
games.
part 1, part 2 or something like that. It was like
you're
getting
Kingdom
all
Hearts
of it
1.
on there.
Kingdom Hearts 1.5.
Yeah.
I don't think they had chain of memories in that one either.
Hasn't Kingdom Hearts been always natively a PlayStation game anyway, a series? Mostly?
Mostly, yes.
PS1, PS2, it's always been native PlayStation for the most part.
It's always been PlayStation.
It's always been PlayStation, so I'm not surprised that they are there.
And they'll have a limited edition PS4, Kingdom Hearts 3 PS4. And no release date information yet.
Yeah.
Then, and they didn't even bring him out for this, Death Stranding. We got to see more gameplay for it, and we still don't know what the heck this game is about.
Well, you got this guy who, like, there's always that joke that if you could see your character's actual inventory on screen, what you would actually look like. There was that joke once upon a time where Gordon
Freeman would look like with all his stuff.
That's what this made me think of. This made me feel like a Gordon Freeman meme.
Oh.
What you could look like if you were carrying all your inventory with you. So this guy's dragging around these crates and pulling these floating things around behind him, going through this world, and then there's this interesting point where he gets stopped and there's this invisible creature tromping around, and this woman that joins him at some point out of nowhere, and she's like, you know, you kind of be quiet, and it kind of approaches them and stops and turns away, and it's like, and they move on, and like, okay.
You get the feel that it's a post-apocalyptic world, that something's gone on. They have these invisible monsters, and he has this technology where he can see that it involves this fetus in a container.
That was really
and
weird.
This thing on his shoulder, and it allows him to see them.
Yeah.
And they're these black ghostly things with these long strands coming out of them from back to someplace, and he could use those to see them. And he went through all sorts of different landscapes. He went through like a ruined city, went through like a blasted looked like a blasted landscape, like a nuke had gone off in the place. And he was like,
so you
climbing mountains,
post-apocalyptic kind of thing.
He was climbing.
You could lose your equipment. He lost some of it over the edge at one point.
He was climbing mountains. He was going through a stream. He almost lost the stuff on his back going through the stream. And then there at the end, they caught him. You get the idea from the dialogue that if they catch you and kill you, you eventually come back. It's sort of there might be a time loop sort of thing going on.
Sort of a, what's that movie called with
Groundhog's Day?
No, the Tom Cruise movie.
Oh, what the hell is that?
And that woman, every time he got killed, he comes back. I can't think of the name of it. It's a Tom Cruise movie. Every time he got the alien blood on him, and it did something to him.
The aliens were called mimics, and he got this
I can't think of it.
blood on him, and it allowed him to loop time.
Yeah, he would continue to replay that same scene every
because
time.
That's what they did in order to figure out strategies to fight the people that they were invading.
Yeah.
I forget the name of that.
And I can't think of the name, but it kind of maybe went along those lines, maybe.
It seemed like that.
It gave you the impression that maybe that's what was going on.
Yeah.
And that inventory management is real inventory management.
Yeah.
That you don't have magic pockets. You know, like Zelda, who pulls everything, out of his. And so,
but it was a good trailer, and the game looked good. You know, and the character is modeled after, is actually modeled on Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. That's the actor's name that's involved with the project.
Was this the one that had that cast list one? There was a scene where there was like a cast list.
Yeah, that was the cast list. Norman Reedus and Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, who played. He was in Doctor Strange, and he was also Orson Krennic in Rogue One. He's in the game.
And then there was like 4 or 5, and then they had music from somebody they played music for. I forget who it was. They had somebody come in and do the music for them.
No, not for this one. Not for this one. That was a different game.
Okay,
that was a different game that did that for. But this one, it's your typical Kojima game. Even though we see the trailer and we see a little more of the gameplay, we still don't know what it's about.
You think about it. Yeah, most of the people in the IGN stuff were going like, they were like, we have more questions now than we did before we saw it.
Yeah, it's like
all they did was make us ask more questions. They didn't answer anything.
Kojima just loves to troll us.
Yeah,
he just loves to troll us on this. I mean, he's got this vision, this weird vision for this game, and we're just trying to understand him.
Good luck.
And then Team Ninja's got Neo 2 coming out, and so that's Samurai. That is an actual Samurai Dark Souls like game.
Yeah,
a very tough game. The first one was Dark Souls-esque, and so we're getting a second one of that.
Yeah.
And then they spent a lot of time on Spider-Man, and
Oh yeah, they spent the most time on Spider-Man.
I'd like to play that because that had a Batman Arkham
Yeah,
sort of
that's what I
vibe
thought
to it.
when I saw it. I thought this really, because I've not played them, but I've watched you play a little bit of it, and everything I saw there had very much that type of feel to it. Like that sort of mechanic was how it was going to play, in some form, and except for also you can do the whole web swinging thing.
Yeah. So they had almost his whole rogues gallery there. They had everybody except for Doc Ock.
Yeah,
there.
actually, I thought that at one point I thought that guy was Doc Ock with that long arm.
No, that was Scorpion. They had
Yeah,
Scorpion.
I realized it afterwards, but it was like at first I thought it was
Electro. They had Electro, Rhino, Scorpion, Vulture. They didn't have Green Goblin.
Yeah.
They had Negative Man, which was a villain I never knew about until I saw the first trailer. Because I'm not too versed on the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse comics. I'm not too versed on them. And
who knows? They might add stuff later to that. I mean, who knows?
it looked impressive. It flowed really well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just could of course been staged gameplay. Of course, it could have been pre-rendered. Of course.
Well, that opening definitely was. It looked like later on. I think there was some time they spent with it later on where it was a little more them actually playing it, and it still looked like it would play pretty good. Yeah, and they went to the raft. The people were breaking out of the raft. Mm-hmm.
Now, and it looks impressive. If it plays anything the way it looks, I mean, this is going to be probably the best Spider-Man game that's been made.
If you're a big Spider-Man fan, this is probably going to be the one to have if they do it right.
Yes.
If they get it right, and I'd say chances are they probably will, and the way it looks.
Yep.
Then I would say if you're a big Spider-Man fan, this is going to be Spider-Man heaven.
Yep.
The whole swinging mechanic and all the bad guys are there. You know, the fighting mechanic. If they borrowed from that whole Arkham Knight thing, then that was from what you were saying, well done. So yeah, I think they may have something there.
Mm-hmm. And then they did a short recap video of everything that they showed, and then they popped back to that studio thing with the people talking.
Like they were about to change to something different.
Like
it looked like they might have been setting the stage up for maybe like a multiplayer thing, or that maybe they were that they were going to do something fancy, or they were setting up. You got the feel that they were setting something up.
Yeah. And then they went back to the studio at IGN, and they were all,
Yeah.
Like.
Not even bother to say goodbye.
What?
And the whole thing was probably barely even 30 minutes.
Yeah, I want to see Angry Joe's reaction to this.
Yeah.
Angry Joe and the Angry Video Game Nerd. Oh God.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun. It's just gonna be fun to watch them totally melt down
the
over
internet is going to be on fire for
They wanted
weeks
attention, but I don't think they realized this is not the attention that they wanted.
No, this was
total trolling.
This was
Sony just not giving a shit.
That takes effort to actually not give a shit. that much. This
was like, surely it's just, what were they?
What the actual F? It's like, what is this? What that was it? That was all? It's like, I mean, you start off in this one place. You do this weird music thing with the banjo
and half your stage staff disappear. I mean,
probably half their brain too.
What happened here?
And you start out with this You start out with the trailer with
afterwards they show this whole long scene, this whole long thing, this speed time up thing where they built that building that
they were proud of their accomplishment of what they did.
They showed it off. Boy, look what we did. and they spent all that money for that one room that they did not need. It did nothing for the experience, and you trolled the audience by making them get out of their chairs, walk over to wherever this actual other place was, and have to reorganize and sit back down and find their seat. Totally trolling the audience and wasting everybody else's time. Just to do The Last of Us 2 for that one scene.
The channel Angry Joe, you done fucked it up.
Yeah, yeah. I expect that as a response.
It's like, oh, like
I don't know. I was like, I got up for this. I had to get back up for this. I could have just slept through that.
I know. If I knew it was gonna be this bad, if I knew this trumps the whole giant enemy crab and Ridge Racer thing they had years ago. They're really awkward E3. They had an E3 that was even more awkward than EA's from this year.
Well,
Several years
only
ago.
Awkward because of the drama they created. The presentation was okay, but their drama that they created in the industry is why theirs was so off.
Yeah.
This took actual planned effort. You had to have somebody sit down and plan this event and plan the timing. And
It took skill to screw up this badly.
Yeah, it did. You had to have great skill to screw this up like this. This was skillfully fucked. I mean, I guess that someone said if you're gonna fuck it up, do it right. Hey, they got it covered.
Oh
If
God.
you're gonna screw it up, do it right. Boy, did they knock it out of the park as far as fuck ups go.
I know one thing.
They totally. I mean, they put that in orbit.
The only problem is no one came out on stage to talk. So the meme factory on the internet's not gonna have anything to work with.
Except for the flute guy.
Except
and the banjo guy.
wait a minute. Yep, the flute guy.
We had a banjo guy.
The
and we had
flute
a
guy
flute
and the banjo guy. So the meme
Yeah.
factory has a little something to work with.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be some
Too bad they didn't have a. Too
Sony
bad they didn't
E3
have a violin. Too bad they didn't have a violin because they really needed one at this point.
a little tiny one going.
But yeah, banjo guy and flute guy, and that was it. And it was totally pointless.
It's like I God. It's like
If I had been an executive in charge, and I saw this, somebody would be fired afterwards. The planners, guys, whoever planned this, I would have fired them over that.
oh man.
This-
Some people probably are going to lose their jobs over this because this is like.
I don't know. I mean, somebody who signed off on this. That somebody had to. Somebody. The buck's got to stop at somebody's desk.
Yes. This was.
And if upper management approved this, something's slightly wrong over at Sony right now.
Something very wrong over Sony right now.
Something is not where it ought to be over there in terms of priorities and the way that they interact with
What
people.
were they thinking?
I don't know. It was just utterly. And I remember I was behind because I started it late. I think because we were eating or something, and so I started late. And I remember looking at the chat, and it was just blowing up, and I'm like, "What are they going on about?" Because I think my chat might have been current, but my screen was behind. And I'm like, "What is going on? Why are they so freaking out?" And then as I got into it, I'm like, "Oh, now I get it. That explains it."
Yeah, they're freaking out because Sony's completely screwing up.
Yeah. And the IGN was just, they looked befuddled. I don't know.
I'm not sure if you'd want to smoke what they were smoking.
That was some nasty stuff there. Because there was some fried brain cells going on. It was bad. You done fucked it up, yeah. You done fucked it up, Sony. What the hell?
Oh my god. Oh, it was. I stayed up for that. I could have been sleeping. We could have both been sleeping.
Yeah, I could have done without it.
Oh.
And you know, the sad thing is, I would have hated. Because, like I said, if I had been an audience member and went through that for that, I'd have been.
If I had to pay to get in, I would want my money back.
I would want my money back for that, because people paid money to go in there and sit at that venue. I mean, I'm guessing you had I mean, you had to have something to be able to be there, I'm assuming. But to go in and be part of that audience and go into wherever this room was, and you know, it's getting summertime, so I'm assuming this place looked like you had to walk outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to whatever, because it looked like it was the construction made it look like it was initially an outside area.
It was outdoor. It wasn't even indoors, so it was probably sweltering hot.
It was probably hot in there or something, and they had all the lights and stuff. And to be sat down, to get seated, and then watch one or two trailers, and then the whole thing stopped, and you're told, okay, everyone, this way down to the main hall, right here, hurry, because we got to get back on. And they're rushing the crowd, and everyone has to get over there, get seated. I would have been furious. And then when you get there, you don't see anybody else except the flute guy.
Yeah.
And then we don't even know how much the audience saw, how much they saw of the outside program that we were seeing. Yeah. We don't even know if they even got to see what they were talking about, because they talked about those videos and stuff during that. We don't even know if the audience, the live audience, got to see any of that, because they were being transitioned. So
yeah.
Part of that presentation, they didn't even get to see.
Yeah.
They were being seated.
And they talked about a few things during that, and
yeah.
no one. It's like they never covered any of it. They just showed a few trailers and a few snippets of stuff, and then
when you get in there, they had nobody except the flip guy, and then it was like a string of trailers, and then it exited, and it was done. If I had been in that audience, I would have been infuriated.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some, not so many nice words said after that.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be some drama.
Yeah, Daniel Sony was definitely flinging some poo for sure.
They had plenty in that stuff.
Some low quality doggy doo doo.
Yeah, it was amazing how bad it was. So I'm really, tomorrow's Nintendo.
Yeah, and that's the last of the press conferences.
I'm kind of curious now, because the one thing I've been seeing through all of this across so far that we've been through is there's a lot of surprising stuff that's going to the Switch. Way more than when I first heard about the Switch, it's like, this is Nintendo. They always have those little niche things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would never expect it. And it's a little bitty tiny system. I'm like, I had my doubts. But from everything I've been seeing that's going to the Switch, it feels like their library seems to be, I haven't paid it much attention, but it feels like its library might be bigger than I might have thought it could have been.
Oh, the Switch has been kicking some butt and taking names.
So I'm really starting to get very interested in that, and so I'm actually kind of really curious to see what is going to be at theirs, and how much of this, if all this that they're showing separately is going to be collected there to kind of get a better picture of what's going to be on it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've become more interested than I thought I would be by how many things I've seen pointing to the Switch.
Well, from what I understand, their focus tomorrow is going to be mainly Splatoon, and whatever this new content is for it is going to be. And then we may see some stuff for maybe DLC for Mario Odyssey. We'll very likely see stuff for what was maybe something to do with Metroid Prime 4. And there's something, Smash Brothers, the new Smash Brothers. We may finally get to see some more for that.
I just feel like it would be helpful to see, for all the different things that we're talking about moving to the Switch, to see it collected there as a montage of these. To be able to see it all together.
They're getting Wolfenstein 2. They've got Doom. They've got Skyrim. They've got Dark They've got the Mario Rabbids game from Ubisoft. Oh, what else has gone? I know they've gotten way more third-party support than the Wii U ever got.
Yeah, and I'm even thinking even the Wii. The Wii never really got even this much third-party support. This feels like way more than it's ever been for Nintendo in a long time.
Yes, it seems like every other console from Nintendo is
they
really
get the Star
big,
Trek
really
syndrome.
popular.
Every other one is good.
every other Star Trek movie is good.
Yeah, so they get the Star Trek thing going on where it's like every other console is good.
Yes.
And so they're nailing it with this. It's surprising. So I think I've waited. It's probably something I need to do is go ahead and get me a Switch. I've been kind of putting that off because every time I get a Nintendo system, I only get like 2 games and never play it.
Now in Japan, I don't know if they're gonna do that here, but in Japan they released a version without the dock. And here in the U.S., you can only get the version with the dock.
Well, you'd want that anyway.
Into the TV. You would want that anyway to play on the TV. But they've got.
Now, as far as streaming goes, it's just Nintendo games that they are anal about, or is it anything off the Switch? Or is it just their first-party game?
What do you mean, as in streaming?
Well, if you want to do Let's Plays and whatnot.
Oh,
is it just Nintendo's own first-party stuff that they're funky about?
That I am not too sure about. I know
I don't
that
see how they can control the license for all these other games in that way. I don't see how they. Well, I guess they could. But.
They could. Well, we're not covering any.
It's only hurting.
It's only hurting them.
And besides, most of the games that you would do are elsewhere anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's nothing unique to that console. That console's just a way to. The advantage to the Switch is it's a way to play higher quality games.
Oh, Lunch King 49, yes, Fortnite for Switch. That's a biggie. Because Fortnite is a very popular battle royale game, and so that's coming to already on the Switch. So I think it's coming to the Switch. So that's another biggie. That's another popular one.
They're getting that kind of content, and the thing, like I said, I think what it is it's portable. You can take it with you. And I think that's what's really helping that, because it's a way to play these games portable without needing a whole laptop or desktop.
The odd thing is they're still supporting the 3DS, so they're sort of supporting two mobile platforms.
They're mobile for their mobile. I think, and maybe maybe they feel it. Just I don't know. You'd think they're competing with themselves. But they don't seem to bother. That doesn't seem to bother them.
Yeah, I mean,
the right system for the right game, I guess.
I guess
it's hard to understand Nintendo and their reasoning for choosing things they've chosen. Nintendo itself has got strange selections of issues.
Like Sony, I love their games. Nintendo's games are great. I hate them as a company.
When they get the games right, they knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
When they go to make corporate choices, it's hit or miss.
Yeah, like
more
Sony,
times missed than. They're good at screwing that up, but when they do get it right, they're kind of weird. It's like the overall landscape is low quality mess, but when they do get it right,
yeah,
it's like the diamond's literally in the rough.
Yeah. Like Sony, I like their games, but I don't like them as a company. They suck as a company.
Yeah.
No, they're pretty bad. They've done some shady stuff.
Although EA's got them topped, but
yeah, EA's got them topped, and Activision is right there, right next to them.
Right behind them, and then Sony and Nintendo, as far as just junk. It's just the choices the company makes are poor in terms of
how Nintendo treats their
how they
fan community is pretty bad.
And the thing is, you get that contrast with all these other game companies who are very popular because, as we said, they're interacting with their fans, they're communicating with their fans, and they're in some cases even having the fans help them develop the game.
Mm-hmm.
And and you know what it is? You also notice these are the older companies, and some of them, even the Japanese companies, not specifically that, but it's like these older, more closed off companies that are probably the worst offenders. To some degree.
Yeah.
At least in some of the choices they make, it's the money grubbing, as opposed to we won't. There's two issues. There's the money grubbing side, that's your EA and Activision, and then there's the attitude, sort of the way they think of the player, the attitude toward the community, and that our stuff is great, so you have to love us, and so they don't really care, kind of thing going on. So there's those two kind of worlds, you know, one coming from the US side, and one coming from the Japanese side, and how they treat the fans of their product.
Ubisoft is a French company, by the way.
Are they?
Yeah, they're based in France.
I just don't like I don't like the Uplay platform in general. I'm not a fan of it, but the games are okay.
They've made it to where it pretty much stays out of your way now.
Have they learned their lesson on that?
They've learned that they still have it, but it mostly stays out. It goes out of its way to stay out of your way.
It's more like what Steam does now. Steam gets out of your way. I think they've learned their lesson that their product is not what you're there to play. Their platform is not what you're interested in. It's the games on the platform that you're interested in. So they may have finally figured out which side up with that. Finally,
they've even figured out how to get it to where it will automatically activate without you having to put in a key to activate the game and Uplay. You start the game in Steam and it does it automatically.
The only Uplay game I've interacted with is Star Trek Bridge Crew.
Yeah. And
I was not a fan of even having to install that to play that. And it came through Steam too. You had one platform dropping through another, and I was like, what?
I know.
So.
Well, you have a lot of other games like Final Fantasy 14 with its launcher. Through
well, the
Steam
launcher, that's just your average MMO launcher, though.
Yeah.
That's not a platform distribution thing.
No. And I've got Origin installed on my machine, and I don't even use it.
Yeah. If I have to,
I only have it because I got free games from buying hardware. That's about it.
And for me, Uplay is a requirement for Star Trek Bridge Crew. So if it wasn't even, it tries to run in the background. I don't let it. I don't let it even start unless I'm playing it.
Yeah.
So it's like if I have a choice, I just go through Steam just because that's where most of my library is, and not trying to keep it all together.
Yep. Steam or there's GOG.
Yeah, a lot of people are keen on G. I haven't done anything with them in a long time. There hasn't been anything that I couldn't get on Steam that is available there.
They have a Steam-like client that is completely optional.
Yeah. I think I've only ever had one game from them. I forget what it was. I bought one from them a long time ago.
I've got a few games from them.
But I want to have more time. I want to play more games, more variety though.
Yeah, I've got a few games through Twitch. I've got the Twitch app, and I've got a few games through that because I've got Amazon Prime, so I have Twitch Prime, and every month they give away 2 or 3 free games. So I got a whole bunch of games through that. I got Super Hot. I played through, and I did a Old Gamer Plays Next episode here on the Gamers Bay channel for Steam World Dig 2. I recently picked up Psychonauts from Twitch for free. I got Super Hot, Oxenfree, I Hope, which is it's an indie game sort of where it's something similar along the lines to that Dragon Cancer, which is sort of a game about a child fighting cancer. Sort of an adventure game where you're fighting cancer.
Okay.
And then I got what's some of the other ones I have? I haven't even installed all of them.
Yeah, one of the things I was thinking about doing with the new system is, since we're going to have more ability to do games on there and that, get the consoles plugged in up there. One thing I was thinking was doing, because I know that channels do well when they have more variety, don't they? Instead of just being specific, because you do specific and then it kind of burns out. If you have like,
because sometimes I talk to Daniel, and he's the owner. He's in the chat right now, and he's the owner of Gamers Bay. And when we talk, he was talking about a lot of the channels that were just Call of Duty, nothing but Call of Duty, day in, day out. Those were getting hurt the most because they just don't have a variety. They're just making Call of Duty games all the time, and they're not even commenting about the games when they're playing them. They're just sitting there and they're playing, and they talk about the crap that happened to them during their real life. People don't want that when they come and watch a video here on YouTube. They don't want to hear you talking about how crappy your life is, your day has been, you know, in every video all the time, because they're gonna watch something to get away from their life that's crappy day in and day out.
I mean, there are people who are like busybodies that love it. But,
yeah, there are people.
whole,
That's why the drama channels are so big. But in general, they don't want to sit there and watch a gameplay, a video, and someone bitching about that they had a really bad day at school that day. And those channels are the ones that were getting hurt the most. Like they could never figure out how to grow their channel because they had a lot of videos, a lot of content, but they were getting their watch times were dropping.
Because one thing I'd like to do is I'd like to have us be able to do more reviews.
Yeah, he says, yeah, it's a bad bet when people base their entire channel around a single game.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm kind of getting at. I'd like to be able to have it that we can get more variety and content. See if I can get the consoles in there on that studio, and be able to get, be able to have more, us playing, like a Let's Plays and like more reviews. And I mean, there's a lot of that out there, but Yeah,
I would say there are exceptions to that, like Yamix and Obsidian Ant. Their videos are all mostly Elite Dangerous centric.
But they don't stay on that. There are
they
other
don't
videos
stay
on
on
other
that.
things.
They do
Even
talk
Mr.
about
Happy,
other stuff.
Final Fantasy, he goes off and does other things. Because I was sitting here thinking, sometimes, like maybe you might have a day that you say, okay, the audience have the audience pick a game, and then we go get the game, get it installed, and try it out.
Yeah.
And see what's new. That's one thing that we could.
So they don't stay focused on just Elite Dangerous.
Yeah,
and
they
Cobra TV doesn't stay focused on just No Man's Sky, although they have been focused a lot on No Man's Sky lately,
but there's activity
because
on it,
the ARG is going
there.
on, the Waking Titan ARG is going on right now.
But when that got quiet, he started looking into other things.
Yes, he started looking into other
Titanfall.
stuff.
When you said that, when I said other things, Titanfall, was that the other one? Was it Titanfall? That game that we were talking about? That was the planet and the space down to the surface?
No.
No?
No.
Look, there's something. I can't think of it.
Megaton Rainfall.
Megaton Rainfall. That was it. I knew it was something fall.
Yeah. Megaton Rainfall.
Megaton Rainfall.
That was developed by one guy.
Yeah, that was the one that we were trying to remember.
Yeah, that was the one we were trying to remember, where it had seamless travel from space to planet, and it also had a whole galaxy in it.
Yeah, it had a lot.
Yeah.
You go from planet to planet stuff. I think. But yeah.
You could go out to your character had to get the upgrade fully. You can go interstellar flight.
Yeah.
I wonder if he built that with Space Engine, because Space Engine will do seamless transitions from
maybe
space to planet surface.
You could go interstellar with it, that's for sure.
You can go out to you can see the structure of the universe itself with all the galaxies. because it procedurally generates an entire universe with all the planets, all the galaxies, all the stars.
Yeah.
And it doesn't use that much. It doesn't even use that much processing power. Even my little AMD APU machine can run it.
I know I've sidetracked this and all this other stuff.
I know.
I'm trying to find some way to lift spirits after
after that whole Sony shit show at the end.
After that, I'm like, I need to find something to end on a high note.
Yes.
Something to be able to smile about other than that stuff.
I know that was a complete time waster.
Yeah, but
at the end.
But yeah, I mean, being able to, because that's what I'm hoping we'll be able to do with that studio, is be able to stream more, be able to get more videos out, better quality. That's the goal with all that.
Yes, we'll have the green screen, be able to work with that. Be able to do more gaming news,
more content, videos. better quality content, faster, being able to get them rolled out faster and more efficiently.
Because my machine, I can do some video editing with my machine, but it's slow.
You got that editing, huh? You got this
editing.
Editing. Editing.
Can't talk today.
Sounds like some sort of gambling editing machine.
Okay, so this was E3 Day 3. So we went through Square Enix, Ubisoft, PC Gaming Show, and whatever the hell that is from Sony.
Known as Sony. Disaster formerly known as Sony.
And saw a lot of interesting stuff today. Square Enix, no stage show. It was just a pre-recorded media event. Ubisoft was actually pretty interesting. Had some pretty interesting stuff.
Was fun. I liked it.
PC Gaming Show was there. They were shotgun through stuff pretty quick.
They were there.
But they were there. There was some interesting stuff from them.
And Sony wasn't there. They were not there.
I am not sure.
They were not all there.
Where Sony was. They definitely weren't.
They weren't there. Wherever they were, they weren't there.
Yes.
The other one was just there. They were sort of just not there.
And then after tomorrow's the Nintendo presentation. Let me check the date or time.
Yeah, what time does that begin?
Double check the schedules for everything. Okay, it's the last day, and that will be 11 a.m. here in Central Time in good old Texas.
So what time do we want to do that tomorrow?
Stream? We can do that about. We'll be back online at 3 o'clock.
3? Okay.
Yeah, gives it
2 hours.
We'll give them 2 hours to get through whatever.
Yeah. They should be able to get through that in 2 hours.
They should be able to get through that in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we will be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock to do the last day of the E3 press conferences, and then E3 officially starts on Wednesday with the whole expo. Alrighty then. Today's been an interesting day and a tired day.
Very tired, very interesting day.
Yes, we're running on fumes. Because you were up all night working on the new machine for the set.
I still got so much to do.
And
it's still out of work.
I was up working on some things and I didn't get very much sleep. But I am tonight.
You sleep tonight. What's that line from The Matrix? You'll sleep tonight.
You'll sleep tonight. Oh, I hope Nintendo's is not like Sony's. Please, Nintendo have a better thing than Sony did. I don't think you could get any worse than what Sony did.
Please don't try it either.
But don't try.
I think we'll be fine. Nintendo usually doesn't screw something like this up, do they?
No, they
don't. They usually take their presentations seriously.
Yes.
Even when they're joking around, they're seriously joking around. they take their jokes seriously. They're seriously joking. So
Yes.
when they joke.
Okay. So everyone who showed up for the live stream, thank you for joining us in YouTube and Twitch. If you liked this video and you want to see more of the content we have here on Gamers Bay, consider hitting the subscribe button and remember to hit the bell icon. But remember that YouTube is mucking with the algorithms and subscribers aren't always getting notifications. So if you want to get up-to-the-minute notifications on anything new on Gamers Bay, check out the Gamers Bay Google Plus community. We were originally built around retro gaming, so we have an older audience, and we welcome everybody, well, anybody and everybody, but we are a troll-free, safe environment where you can come and discuss video games without people yelling and screaming at you for your choice in what your favorite games are. So check out Gamers Bay, and remember that we always post notifications of any new videos and any new live streams in the community. So if you don't get any notifications from YouTube, you will guaranteed to get notifications from us. So I've been Mike TheZorch.
This is Tygra.
Tygra. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. with our impressions of the Nintendo press conference. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace.